Chapter 4091. Inside the doctor's office. Dr. Zhao, how's my wife? President Qin. Since you were sent here by the higher-ups, we didn't dare to neglect you. To be honest, your wife's condition isn't too serious. It's just that the labor was induced, so it's a little bad for her health. That's not the main thing. I'm worried that she won't be able to take it, so your entire family needs to undergo psychological counseling. I know, but what about the child? Qin Chu's expression was indescribably complicated, but he had to pretend to be calm. The child is yours. If you want to deal with it yourself, find a cemetery and bury it. If you don't want to, our hospital can help you. Leave it to me, we'll deal with it ourselves. Okay, President Qin, I think your wife can be discharged after resting for a few days. It's more convenient for you to transfer her to a local hospital to continue recuperating or find a private doctor at home. There's no need for her to continue staying here. After all, this is a foreign place and she's unfamiliar with the people. It's not good for her recovery. Okay. After talking to the doctor, Qin Chu returned to the ward. Huamin's eyes were red and swollen from crying. Honey. I want to be discharged. I want to go home. Okay, we'll leave tomorrow. I've already contacted a private plane to pick us up. Su Yu is about to be discharged too, so we'll go back together. Honey, what about our child? Huamin asked with red eyes. I've already found someone to bury him here. We won't bring him back. Mom and Dad will be sad to see him. Okay. Huamin nodded. Then, she reached out and wanted to wrap her arms around Qin Chu's neck. However, Qin Chu got up to get her something to eat. She didn't manage to hug him. Mian, do you want porridge or warm milk? Warm milk. Okay. Qin Chu nodded and warmed the milk for Huamin with hot water. Honey, do you remember, when we were in school, you were like this too? When my period came, you would buy me hot drinks and even skip class. Once, you were caught red-handed by the principal. I remember. Qin Chu lowered his head and only said 2 words. Actually, in retrospect, it was so good back then. It would be great if I never grew up, hubby. The happiest time of my life was probably when I was with you at Second High, eating Oxayan's ramen with you and living a carefree life. Me too. Qin Chu said gently, turned around and handed her a cup of hot milk. Huamin took it and looked at it hesitantly. Then, he sipped it slowly. On the other hand, Xiao Fei wanted to call the professor, but he couldn't reach him. However, this was not surprising. The professor was always elusive, and people were used to it. Feeling depressed, Xiao Fei led his men to a random bar and sat down. Young master, what would you like to drink? Whatever. Xiao Fei was in a bad mood. Lu Yan had gone missing and left behind such a big pool of blood. To be honest, the situation wasn't optimistic. He wasn't sure if Lu Yan was still alive. The silver-haired handsome man attracted a lot of attention as soon as he entered. Regardless of whether they were men or women, there were many who came to strike up a conversation. However, they were all blocked by Xiao Fei's men. At this moment, a woman with long wavy hair walked over. Although she was blocked by Xiao Fei's men, she still smiled seductively. Handsome, buy me a drink. Get out. Won't you regret it if I get out? Are you looking for someone? The woman said with a smile. Xiao Fei immediately looked up, his eyes cold. Chapter 4092. What do you know? Xiao Fei stood up abruptly and walked toward the woman. Do you want to know more? Buy me a drink. The woman smiled seductively. Although Xiao Fei was disgusted by her vulgar appearance, he didn't want to let go of any information related to Yen. Finally, he allowed the woman to sit across from him. "I want a royal salute." Obviously, the woman demanded an exorbitant price and ordered the most expensive drink. "As long as you can give me the information I want, you can drink whatever you want." "Really? Handsome, you must be rich." "Waiter, give me 2 royal salutes." The woman was really impolite. Once she saw that she had met a rich man, she ordered 2 at once. She thought the young man in front of her might be a rich second-generation heir from another city. After all, his silver hair was a bit unconventional and he was dressed formally, although he didn't have any branded clothes on him. However, he had more than a dozen people with him. They were obviously not to be trifled with. Xiao Fei didn't say anything. The woman was a good drinker and opened 2 bottles of wine. Then, she kept winking at Xiao Fei. "Can you tell me now? Handsome, you're from another city, right?" The woman asked him. "Yes." "No wonder I haven't seen you before." "Are you looking for a girlfriend here?" the woman asked with a glass of wine in her hand. "Yes." "Hee hee. You post-90s youngsters love to quarrel and give each other the cold shoulder. What's the point? You have me in your heart, and I have you in mine. Isn't it good to be together? Cut the crap. What do you know?" Xiao Fei was getting impatient. "Do you have a picture? Give it to me. I have a lot of connections in the area. If your girlfriend comes here, I'll be able to find her," the woman said confidently. Xiao Fei hesitated for a moment but still pulled out Lu Yan's picture. It was a picture of life, a very rare picture of life. In the photo, Lu Yan was wearing a simple white dress with red polka dots and a bow on her waist. She looked like a young girl in the photo. It was bought by Huamin for Lu Yan. She had never worn that style of dress before because she thought it was stupid. But later, when she missed her sister, she would wear it. She dressed herself up like an ordinary girl. Xiao Fei had taken the photo secretly, but Lu Yan was looking at him with her head tilted, so her features were quite clear in the photo. Anyone who saw such a beautiful girl would have an unforgettable memory. Lu Yan was so beautiful that it was suffocating. The woman looked at Lu Yan's photo on her cell phone. "Wow, your little girlfriend must be a celebrity. She's so beautiful. Cut the crap. Have you seen it or not?" "I haven't, but I can ask my friends." "Are you fucking kidding me?" Xiao Fei frowned. "No, I told you that I have a lot of connections. If I saw it, I would definitely tell you, so you actually don't know anything." Xiao Fei was a little angry. "I didn't tell you what I know. Little brother, don't cause trouble. Pay for big sister's bill obediently, and I'll guarantee your safety." After the woman finished speaking arrogantly, Xiao Fei suddenly laughed. It was a bloodthirsty sneer. "So are you threatening me now?" "Yes, I'm threatening you." "So what?" After saying that, the woman clapped her hands. Suddenly, 30 to 40 people ran out of nowhere. They surrounded Xiao Fei and his subordinates. "Calculate how much money they have spent. This handsome guy is going to pay the bill." The woman smiled wickedly. A waiter beside her quickly calculated with a calculator. "The total is 79,800 yuan. What will you do if I say I have no money?" Xiao Fei continued to laugh. Chapter 4093. No money. It's very simple. According to the rules of the martial arts world, if you eat and dash, you just have to chop off one of your hands. But seeing how young and handsome you are, I can't bear to do that to you. If you can sleep with me for a night and serve me well, I can consider letting you go. Do you know what you're talking about? Xiao Fei asked her calmly. "Kid, let me tell you the truth. Other than the 30 people in the room, we have a group of people outside waiting for you. You won't be able to escape tonight. Either you pay the bill or come home with me. At first, Xiao Fei thought that this woman was just a bartender who was trying to cheat him of some money. Now, it seemed that she was much worse than a bartender. This woman had some power. She was obviously from the local mafia and had many people. All right, since you've said so much, I won't say anything more. Then pay up. You seem to be rich, kid, the woman was right. This was a rich second-generation heir. Usually, these rich people from other places would settle things with money in order to avoid unnecessary trouble. She thought that this young man in front of her was the same. Xiao Fei's men didn't move. They were waiting for their boss's orders. Xiao Fei reached into his pocket. Everyone thought that he was going to take out his wallet. Unexpectedly, Xiao Fei took out his pistol and aimed it at the woman. He shot her in the head. Needless to say, the accuracy was amazing. Most importantly, it was destructive. It blew up the woman's head. Brain matter and blood mixed and sprayed onto the surrounding people. The lackeys, who were his subordinates, were all dumbfounded. Usually, they were just people who used their machetes to intimidate others. They had never seen such a scene before. Before they could react, Xiao Fei shot at them. When his subordinates saw that their boss had opened fire, they didn't hold back. Instantly, the room was in chaos. That night, the city bureau was alerted and more than 100 police officers came. Unfortunately, when they arrived, Xiao Fei and his group were nowhere to be seen. Qin Chu only found out about this when he was watching TV at night. According to this station, there was a bad robbery in a bar on Chuntao Road. The robber failed and shot more than 30 people. His methods were extremely cruel. So far, 20 people have been killed and 12 injured. The Municipal Bureau has officially filed a case. If there are any local witnesses, please come to the Municipal Bureau to provide clues and a large reward for information about the suspect. After Qin Chu read it, he understood that only Xiao Fei and his gang could cause such a big commotion. Honey, where's Yen? Hua Min, who was lying on the bed, suddenly spoke. Yen, just say it. If there's any bad news, say it all at once. Don't hit me again and again. I can't take it anymore. Lu Yen is missing. Missing? How could it be? Hasn't she always been with you? After that, Qin Chu briefly told Hua Min what had happened. Hearing that Lu Yen was missing, Hua Min wept again. Qin Chu quietly handed him a tissue. The next morning, Qin Chu took Hua Min, Su Yu, and Lady Su with him. They secretly left Yunnan on a special plane sent by the military. On the plane, Hua Min asked Qin Chu worriedly. Honey, our child, I've found someone to bury him. Don't worry. After this, I'll move him back if I have the chance. Hua Min nodded with tears in his eyes. Honey, in the future, let's have another child. Hua Mian reached out and placed her cold hand on the back of Qin Chu's hand as she said, Don't worry. Chapter 4094. Qin Chu didn't say anything. He just reached out and patted Hua Min's head. He seemed to be comforting her, but Su Yu and Lady Su felt even worse when they heard this. The four of them returned to Sea City in a low-key manner. Hua Min went back to South Hill Manor because of his health condition. The group of people were waiting for him at Su Yu's mansion to celebrate his return. However, they didn't expect this to happen. When Su Yu entered, Tang Chuan didn't know and opened a kaleidoscope with a bang. Su Yu walked past him expressionlessly and sat down on the sofa. Lord Su, welcome back. We've been waiting for you for a long time. Where are you going tonight? Tang Chuan was in a good mood as he left Su Yu's shoulder unknowingly. Let's go back. I want to be alone. Su Yu said listlessly. What's wrong? Lord Su, one who survives a disaster is bound to have good fortune in the future. This isn't like you. Now that you and my sister-in-law are back safely, and Hua Xiqian is dead, isn't this great news? I heard that bitch Xiao Qingya also died a horrible death. Tang Chuan didn't know much. Most of it was from Qin Chu and Gao Ran on the phone. Therefore, everyone thought that Su Yu and Hua Min were injured in the explosion. Hua Xiqian was blown away and died with the bad guys. Zhao Qingya and Mr. Y were indeed dead. Mr. Y was instigated by Hua Min and was poisoned to death by Zhao Qingya. Zhao Qingya went back on her word and wanted to betray Hua Min, but was killed by Hua Xiqian. On the surface, everyone was happy, but Su Yu licked his lips and looked around. He looked at Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, Wei Liao, Jiang Xiaowei, Shin Mingxi, and Wei Ying. For a moment, he couldn't open his mouth. President Su, did something happen? And had been with Su Yu the longest, so he knew his boss's temper the best. When Shaoan saw that Su Yu had returned, his expression changed. If it was in the past, he would have been the most excited and mingled with everyone as soon as he came back. But this time, he seemed to have a lot on his mind. Everyone, there's something I have to tell you guys. You. Lady Su was worried that her son wouldn't be able to take it since he had just recovered a little. She wanted him to go back and rest well, but she didn't expect him to come clean the moment he came back. Mom, it's okay. Let me say it. This matter can't be hidden anyway, and if I don't say it, I won't feel at ease. Tang Chuan froze for a moment before smiling. What's the matter? Why are you being so secretive? Yeah, big brother Su Yu, hurry up and tell us. We're all dying of anxiety, Wei Ying said in a low voice. Mian was injured in the process of saving me. In the end, we experienced a big explosion. Do you know? Su Yu said slowly. Everyone nodded. They had heard about the explosion from Gao Ran. Gao Ran was still at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Zhu Lingling heard that he had taken Gao Buiyuan to South Hill Manor to wait for Hua Min, so she didn't come here. In that explosion, Mian lost the child in her belly. What? Qi Ning's face was livid as she collapsed in Tang Chuan's arms. Then, everyone was shocked. And was also dumbfounded. It must be noted that Hua Min's child was almost full term. It was a little life that could survive even if it was born prematurely. Was it prematurely born? Jiang Xiaowei asked again with uncertainty. It was induced. The child is dead, Su Yu said with great sadness, feeling like every word was piercing his heart. Chapter 4095. Hearing Su Yu's words, the whole room fell silent. It was eerily quiet. Standing behind Su Yu, Lady Su lowered her head and wept. At the mention of Mian's baby, Lady Su and Su Yu's hearts ached. Of course, Su Yu felt the worst. He was filled with guilt. Lord Su. Don't joke with us. We don't want to hear such a joke. Tang Chuan held Qin Ning in his arms and prayed that it was a prank played by Su Yu and Hua Min. I won't joke about such things. Mian got into this accident to save me. In fact, I feel the worst. I feel sorry for her and Qin Chu. So, I haven't adjusted my mentality yet. I'm sorry, my friends. You can go back now. I'm not in the mood to celebrate. I need some time alone. Then, Su Yu picked up his coat and went upstairs. His friends looked at each other and didn't know what to say. Auntie, is it true? I can't believe it. Wei Liao, a man of few words, glanced at Lady Sue. Lady Sue covered her mouth and nodded with tears in her eyes. Then, Qin Ning burst into tears. She turned and ran out. Ning Ning. Tang Chuan was afraid something would happen to Qin Ning, so he ran out with her. Seeing that things had turned out this way, no one was in the mood to stay any longer. Everyone dispersed. Before Lady Sue left, she asked him to keep an eye on Su Yu. After Su Yu came back, he lay in his room for the whole night without eating, and didn't dare to disturb him. Quietly, he put Su Yu's cell phone on the bedside table and closed the door. At 9 p.m., Han Yueyao sent a WeChat message and told her that Su Yu was back. Excited, she wanted to come back and find Su Yu immediately, but he was rehearsing in another city. Tomorrow was the final match of the finals, and it was extremely important. She had no choice but to secretly send a WeChat message to Su Yu after the rehearsal. Hearing the WeChat notification, Su Yu picked up his phone. Han Yueyao, President Su, you're back. Su Yu just glanced at it indifferently, but he didn't intend to reply to her. Sweating profusely, she waited for a long time but got no reply from Su Yu. She was disappointed. At this moment, someone handed him a bottle of water. She didn't even look at it. She took it and said, "Thank you." After she took a sip, she turned her head and found that it was Yuan Bo. "It's you? Why? Are you disappointed?" "No." "What are you thinking about? You look quite disappointed." "Nothing." "Tisk, girl, you're always so mysterious. You're not very likable and don't have many friends. Why did you enter the entertainment industry?" Yuan Bo looked at Han Yueyao as if she was a weirdo. "To make money and support my family." "Pooh. That's why you entered the entertainment industry?" Yuan Bo almost spat out the water in his mouth. "Yeah. The entertainment industry makes money quickly and a lot." Han Yueyao took another big gulp of water. "Okay. You win." Yuan Bo suddenly felt that Han Yueyao was an interesting person. She wasn't pretentious and most importantly, she didn't spoil you. If she didn't like what you said, she'd retort back. "Are you confident in tomorrow's finals?" Yuan Bo asked her. "No." "Damn it. If you drag me down, I'll never forgive you," Yuan Bo joked. Han Yueyao smiled shyly. "By the way, Yao, tomorrow's finals are very important. Will your boss come and help us?" At the mention of Su Yu, Han Yueyao's eyes dimmed. Chapter 4096. Hearing his words, Han Yueyao forced a smile. "I don't think my boss will come. Such a small competition isn't important to him." Han Yueyao had a feeling that Su Yu wouldn't come. Su Yu didn't even reply to her WeChat messages after he came back, which showed that she didn't have a place in Su Yu's heart. She didn't like to think too highly of herself, so she answered Yuan Bo according to what she thought. "No way. Rumors say that Su Yu dotes on you. How can he not come?" the guy said with jealousy in his voice. "You're weird. I think you'll have a better future as a paparazzi," Han Yueyao joked. Without waiting for Yuan Bo's reply, she stood up and walked to the center of the stage to continue rehearsing, not mentioning Su Yu again. Yuan Bo, however, could tell that Han Yueyao had a lot on her mind. In South Hill Manor, Qin Chu briefly explained what had happened and told his parents that the baby was missing. Although his parents were heartbroken at the loss of their grandson, they weren't unreasonable people. Qin Chu's father glanced at Huamin with heartache. "Mian, you've suffered a lot. You must have a good rest. We owe the Su family a lot. We're glad that Su Yu came back safely. We won't blame you for what you did." "Thank you, Dad." Huamin nodded. "Yeah, your dad's right. The Qin family isn't that ungrateful. Suyu was kidnapped, and we couldn't just leave him be. It's okay if the baby is gone. You two are still young, and you can have another baby in the future. Mian, take good care of yourself, Qin Chu's mother comforted her. Mom, thank you and Dad for your understanding. Chu and I will try our best to give you a grandson. Huamin said this to comfort his parents, so Qin Chu didn't think much of it. After chatting with his parents for a while, Huamin went upstairs, followed by Zhu Lingling, Gao Buiyuan, and the twins. When the two children saw that their mommy had returned, they were very close and immediately pounced on her. Mommy! Little brother is gone, right? Little Bean looked at her mother's flat stomach and felt a little sad. Mommy will give birth to more for you in the future, okay? Huamin patted Little Bean's head. But I also like this younger brother very much. Although my sister and I always call him Qin Guogua, we really don't want him to take the blame for us. We will love him very much. Little Bean seemed to like her younger brother whom she had never met. Okay, Little Bean, Mommy is sad too. Don't talk about it. Pudding was more sensible and didn't want her sister to talk about it. After spending some time with the kids, Qin Chu asked Pudding and Little Bean to take Gao Buiyuan to the room next door. Then Qin Chu went to the kitchen and asked the kitchen to make some ginseng soup for Huamin to nourish his body. Only Zhu Lingling and Huamin were left in the bedroom. Are you trying to scare me to death? Being your bestie is like riding a roller coaster. With red eyes, Zhu Lingling reached out to hold Huamin's hand tightly. Ha! Mian, your hand is so cold. Zhu Lingling was a little surprised when she touched such cold hands. Huamin pulled back his hand without a trace and smiled subtly. Maybe it's because of the labor. I've been like this for days. You've suffered a lot, okay? Don't cry. It's so exciting to be my bestie, Mian, there's no one else here. Let me ask you a secret question. Did you do Qin Yuning's disappearance? Zhu Lingling found it strange when she learned about Qin Yuning's disappearance. But after Huamin's disappearance, she didn't have time to ask. Zhu Lingling only dared to ask because they were alone in the room and even Qin Chu wasn't there. Chapter 4097. Aw. At the mention of Qin Yuning, Huamin froze for a second. Then, his brain quickly searched through this memory and he finally understood what was going on. Qin Yuning, that shameless vixen. Have you forgotten her? Zhu Lingling was puzzled. Huamin had a good memory and wouldn't forget such a short time ago. However, the confusion in Qin Yuning's eyes when she mentioned her name just now was really strange. Ah, that woman. I've taken care of her. Is she dead? No. Don't worry. I'm not a heartless person. Anyway, she'll get the punishment she deserves. Thank you for everything you've done for me. You're so kind that you've never hurt anyone, but you did such a thing for me. I know it's hard for you. Touched, Zhu Lingling couldn't help but take Huamin's hand. She wanted to give him a hug, however, Huamin avoided Zhu Lingling's hug and lay down on the bed. Lingling, I'm sorry. I'm tired. Let me rest. I'll come to you when I'm better, okay? Huamin asked her to leave politely. Zhu Lingling didn't find it strange. After all, it was a critical time. Okay. Have a good rest. I'll go now. Buiyuan and I will come to see you when you're better. Okay. After Zhu Lingling left, Huamin took out a tissue and wiped his hands in disgust. At this moment, Qin Chu pushed the door open and walked in. Qin Chu glanced at Huamin who was wiping his hands. I touched some dust by accident. How long has it been since someone cleaned our room? Huamin seemed to explain why Qin Chu wiped his hands. No way. Someone cleans it every day. Qin Chu looked at him calmly. Really? Maybe these servants saw that the master wasn't at home, so they didn't put in the effort. There's dust everywhere. I think it's better to do a thorough cleaning another day. After all, I'm a clean freak. Alright, I'll listen to you. Qin Chu did not say anything else. At night, Huamin changed into his pajamas and lay on the bed. Hubby, hug me. Huamin began to act coquettishly as she extended her arms for Qin Chu to hug. Mian, go to bed first. I still have a lot of work to do, so I'll sleep later. Can't you accompany me first? Is the company's business so important? Of course not. Don't overthink it. I just want you to rest more. Okay. Then you can go. I'll sleep by myself. The couple quarreled unhappily. Qin Chu didn't know why, but he was upset. He closed the door and walked out. He saw that little bean was lying on the bed, playing with her phone. Pudding walked out of her room and bumped into her father. Daddy, what's wrong? Is it because Mommy lost her little brother? She's a bit strange. What's strange about her? Qin Chu squatted down and spoke in a low voice, as if he was afraid others would hear. I don't know. I think her expression and eyes are a bit unnatural. Especially when she saw Auntie Lingling, she didn't seem as close as before. I think this incident may have been a big blow to her. Do you want to spend more time with her? Pudding had Qin Chu's aloofness and arrogance, but she also had Huamin's sensitivity. Therefore, she could sense that something was wrong. Okay. Don't worry. Daddy will take care of everything. Can we go see Handsome Sue tomorrow? Pudding asked. Of course. He'll be very happy. Qin Chu gently kissed his daughter's eyelashes, full of love. That night, Qin Chu worked in the study until 2 a.m. Then, in order not to disturb Huamin, he slept in the study. The next morning, An knocked on Su Yu's door but found no one in the room. President Su. An was scared out of his wits and hurriedly shouted. Chapter 4098. What are you yelling for? I'm here. Su Yu walked out of the bathroom with only a towel wrapped around his waist. The scene was quite erotic. Wow. Boss, you're back to full health. I'm back to life, but I'm not at full health. I'm so hungry. What are we eating for breakfast? Su Yu wiped his hair with a white towel from a luxury brand and looked at An. I haven't bought anything yet. So, you haven't been home recently. Are you going to turn into a mouse? And, why aren't you going to buy it? I don't think there's enough time. Why don't we go to the company for the morning meeting first? When you come out after the meeting, I promise I'll send a hot breakfast to your office. Fuck, I haven't been back for a few days, and I'm about to be controlled by your threats. Su Yu was both angry and amused. President Su, please calm down. I didn't mean that. I'm doing this for your own good. There's a shareholders meeting this morning. You haven't been here for many days, and some unreliable rumors have started to spread in the company. Su Yu raised his eyebrows and sat on the bed. For example, someone said that you absconded with the money. Fuck, this is my money. Why would I run? Su Yu was speechless. Also, someone said that you cheated on President Hua and eloped with President Hua because you were afraid that President Qin would hunt you down, and said. Ahem. This rumor is really full of imagination. Anyway, people are really worried when you're not here. So, President Su, you should go to the morning meeting. I can hold my head up high. Okay, Then pack up and go to the company now. Remember to buy me breakfast. Okay, okay, okay. How about jianbing with soy milk? Okay, add 2 eggs. After discussing breakfast, Siyu changed into a new set of clothes quickly. It was especially cold in the north in winter, and it would snow without warning. Siyu was wearing a Burberry cashmere coat. It was light blue and looked very nice. Perhaps because he was afraid of the cold, he wore a scarf, which was rare. Her outfit made people's eyes light up. And drove Suyu's black Bentley, and Suyu sat in the passenger seat. She hadn't been to the company for a few days. On her first day of work, it was Imperial Star that blew up. Many girls were smitten when they saw the president return. Along the way, there were girls constantly greeting Suyu. Shaowen, who followed behind Suyu, felt very majestic. Good morning, President Su. Good morning, President Su. President Su, you're so handsome today. Good morning, Boss Su. When everyone saw Suyu, it was as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The previous rumors of Suyu running away were also dispelled. Suyu took off his jacket and entered the meeting room. There was an unprepared morning meeting. By the time he finished his work and came out, and had already bought breakfast and placed it on his desk. She looked at the neat desk and the traffic outside the glass window. Suyu actually felt like he was alive. Thinking back to how he was tortured half to death by Zhao Jingya and the others that day, Suyu thought that he was going to die there. Unexpectedly, in the end, it was that bastard Hua Xiqian who saved him and Hua Mian. That was why life was such a wonderful thing. After Suyu took a simple bite of breakfast, he entered a state of mind. On WeChat, there were red packets from everyone. Perhaps it was to celebrate Suyu's safe return. Tang Chuan sent a lot of red packets in his private group. He even specifically asked Suyu if he wanted to drink with him tonight. Suyu held his phone and didn't wait for a reply. And said, President Su, today is the finals of Dancing Allure. Do you want to go and watch it live? Chapter 4099. Hearing the words, Dancing Allure, Siyu realized he hadn't seen Han Yueyao for a long time. He had received several WeChat messages from Han Yueyao, but he had just come back yesterday and was in a bad mood, so he didn't reply to any of them. Xiao An's question stirred up many memories in him. Did she go to the scene? Her manager and assistant were there, and a few higher-ups from our company were there as well. Miss Han has gained a lot of fans ever since she started dancing in Allure. The paparazzi wanted to dig up some dirt on Miss Han when she was in school, but they found that there was nothing to dig up. They couldn't tell that Miss Han was really a good girl in the past, and it seemed like she hadn't even been in a relationship before. This made many fans have a good impression of her, and even the fans who previously dissed her have become her fans. Her Weibo followers have already reached 5 million, and she's the dark horse of our company this year. Now, there are a lot of companies that want to book commercials, movies, and TV series. And praised Han Yueyao a lot. It was obvious that he liked this girl. He kept praising her in front of the boss, which seemed to add to her popularity. You seem to have a good impression of Han Yueyao. Of course. Miss Han is a woman of character. Who doesn't like her? And grinned. Do you want to pursue her? Pooh. No. I only have Queen Yen in my heart. And joked, but Suyu suddenly thought of something. Shaowen, there's something I have to tell you. What is it? And didn't seem to realize something bad was about to happen. Lu Yan went with Qin Chu to rescue me and Mian, right? Yeah. She came in the middle of the night. She was very cool. She jumped off the helicopter and had a short chat with President Qin before leaving. And couldn't get the scenes of Lu Yan out of his mind. But after this incident, I heard from Qin Chu that Lu Yan seems to what? And looked at Su Yu in puzzlement. Lu Yan seems to have disappeared. Disappeared? How is that possible? Boss, do you know how powerful Lu Yan is? I know. I know Lu Yan's identity, but she seems to have gone missing. Her boyfriend went to the hospital to see Qin Chu. I heard there was a pool of blood at the place where she went missing. It was confirmed to be hers. How is that possible? Lu Yan is the god of war and can't be killed. Few people in the world can defeat her, unless they are aliens. I knew Lu Yan very well and knew very few people could defeat her. He couldn't believe that Lu Yan had bad news. Don't worry. I'm just telling you. Maybe. Lu Yan was injured and went into hiding to heal herself. I think so too. Get the car ready. What? President Su, are you going out? Aren't we going to dance toppling cities? You agree. And was excited and happy for her. I promised Han Yueyao and don't want to break my promise. Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo were about to go on the stage and were nervous. Before going on the stage, Han Yueyao looked back as if she was waiting for someone. Yao, don't be nervous. Just dance as you've rehearsed. Don't be afraid, the assistant comforted her. Okay. I'm fine. At this moment, her agent walked over excitedly with her cell phone. President Su will be here in 3 minutes. Yao, do your best. Is President Su coming? Han Yueyao couldn't suppress her excitement. Chapter 4100. Her agent nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes. I'm coming. Unable to suppress the joy in her heart, Han Yueyao smiled shyly. Yuan Bo glanced at her and rolled his eyes at her. Han Yueyao, treat me to dinner if you win. After all, I've worked hard. Okay. I'll treat you to spicy hot pot. In a good mood, Han Yueyao teased Yuan Bo knowing that Su Yu was here. Han Yueyao was in high spirits the whole time. However, when the results of the competition were announced, they weren't the winners. Instead, it was another pair. The other pair was also a man who wasn't very famous, but the woman was somewhat famous. However, the other couple didn't perform as well as Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo. However, the judges voted for the other couple. It was obvious that there was something fishy going on. The netizens who were watching the live stream began to curse on the bullet screen. Damn it! Are the judges blind? Han Yueyao's team danced so well, but they didn't win the competition. I'm not convinced. It's obvious that there's something fishy going on. Did Lord Su of Imperial Star not inform them this time? Poor Yuan Bo. He worked hard for so long but didn't win the competition. The disgusting program is so disgusting. My Bo will never participate in such a stupid competition again. I'm not exaggerating. Han Yueyao is indeed a professional. She danced well and didn't show off her stage presence. I like her. Yeah. I'm now a fan of Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo. I hope they can be a good match. I support the full moon couple. Boycott the unscrupulous program. In the end, Han Yueyao and Yuan Bo won the first place with the second place. When they went up on the stage to receive their prizes, the host interviewed them. Yuan Bo didn't seem satisfied with the result either. He said something perfunctorily. Holding the microphone, Han Yueyao was excited. Finally, I want to thank our company and our boss, President Su. Thank you for giving me a chance to show myself. I didn't win the championship, but I don't know if you'll be disappointed in me because you know I tried my best, and I know you didn't break your promise. Thank you for coming to the competition. Then she bowed deeply to the audience. The camera cut to Su Yu's face. Su Yu's face was very calm. He didn't really care about the outcome of such a small competition. She just wanted to use this opportunity to make Han Yueyao debut. Therefore, Su Yu only smiled and nodded in response to his gratitude. The media did not let go of the opportunity to take photos. After the competition, Yuan Bo and Han Yueyao walked out. I didn't help you win the championship. It seems you can't eat spicy hot pot. Who said so? Even if I lost, I'll still treat you. I won't go back on my word. Han Yueyao smiled. Really? It's a deal. Okay. Come to me when you want to eat. I'll make sure you're full. Yuan Bo put on his glasses and mask and left with his agent in the minivan. When Han Yueyao walked out, she saw Su Yu's car parked at the gate. And was driving while he sat in the passenger seat. President Su. Seeing Su Yu safe and sound again, Han Yueyao felt relieved. Let's go. Get in the car. Su Yu tilted his head and gestured for her to get in. Chapter 4101. President Su, I lost. I didn't win the championship. Han Yueyao looked embarrassed. Let's talk in the car. Su Yu's face was calm, and no one could tell whether he was happy or sad. With her heart pounding, Han Yueyao got into Su Yu's car uneasily and returned to Sea City. Meanwhile, Han Yueyao's assistant and agent took the company's car and went back in two separate ways. Miss Han, you danced very well today. The moment she got into the car, and sat in the driver's seat and comforted her, afraid that she would deny her performance today. Thank you, and I think I danced well too. I tried my best. Those directors have no taste. Han Yueyao smiled. She didn't seem unhappy that she didn't win the championship because of the dirty tricks. Instead, her heart turned pink when she saw Su Yu. After Han Yueyao sat down, Su Yu handed her a bottle of water. Han Yueyao took the water shyly. President Su. It's good to see you come back safely. Hearing this, Su Yu glanced at and don't blame him for being nosy. I asked him to tell me. Otherwise, I'd feel uneasy, Han Yueyao explained, afraid that Su Yu would blame him. And interrupted, President Su, Miss Han is just worried about you. Everyone really cares about you. You talk too much. Su Yu wasn't angry. He just joked with him. On the way, Su Yu and Han Yueyao chatted about unimportant things. They talked about the company and the fun things in life. They even talked about Su Xiaoxiao. Su Yu didn't seem to care about Su Xiaoxiao's love life. She's still young. When she retires from the army, she might find a good husband. Su Yu smiled. In fact, Lin Hang is a good person. He doesn't like Xiaoxiao and made it clear that he didn't take Xiaoxiao's identity and money. He's a good person. Having a good character is useless. Xiaoxiao's father will never agree to let her marry a mechanic. Su Yu said calmly. Seeing Han Yueyao's embarrassment, Su Yu explained, don't overthink it. I'm not looking down on him. I'm just saying that Xiaoxiao's father also wants his daughter to be happy. Obviously, that Lin guy is so weird that he can't give Xiaoxiao happiness. I know, President Su. You don't have to explain. It's okay. Whoa. Han Yueyao, you've toned down a lot recently. Why didn't you talk back to me? Su Yu wasn't used to her sudden change. After all, he was used to the bratty girl who dissed him. Wasn't I, ignorant in the past? President Su, you gave me such a good opportunity, and you didn't sleep with me, so I'm grateful. Hearing her words, and laughed out loud. Han Yueyao was usually fierce, but when she joked, she was like a funny little girl. Suyu smiled as well. What? You sound like you're not satisfied that I didn't sleep with you. Yeah. Why don't you sleep with me? Han Yueao's joke was half true. But Suyu was a bit embarrassed and changed the topic. Don't talk nonsense. Tell me what you want to eat. It's my treat. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must think carefully. Otherwise, you won't get another chance like this. Of course I won't refuse your treat. I heard that Si Shanghuang seafood is very famous. What did Uncle Benshan say about the skit in Shenyang? 4 Australian abalones and 1 pound of lobster. Han Yueyao continued to tease him. Miss Han, you like seafood too. You have the same hobby as President Hua. Anne's words made the atmosphere in the car awkward. Chapter 4102. Hearing this, Suyu's expression turned unnatural. He coughed softly and ignored Shaoan. He continued, Fine, you can eat Hai Shanghuang tonight even if you miss it. Boss, you're so generous. No wonder you're a godly tycoon. But I'm sorry I didn't win the championship. Han Yueyao was sincere. She felt Suyu had put in so much effort to get rid of the public's opinion and keep the scandal between them a secret for so long. He had sent her all the way to the dance competition, but in the end, she didn't get the result she was proud of. I'll tell you about it after dinner. Don't blame yourself. They chatted for a while longer before the car slowly stopped at the entrance of Hai Shanghuang. Han Yueyao had thought Suyu would treat her to dinner alone with An. However, they didn't expect that when they arrived, the private room was already filled with more than 20 people. Han Yueao's agent and assistant were also there. Everyone's here. Han Yueyao was a bit embarrassed. It seemed she had thought too much. Suyu wanted to treat all the staff members who had worked hard for Han Yueyao this time. Suyu walked in and took off his coat. And took it and hung it on the hanger behind him. Suyu sat down, took the menu from the waiter, and glanced at it. Then he threw it aside. Tonight, each of you will order 1 dish. It's best if it's something you like. Wow, the boss is so generous. A staff member clapped her hands excitedly. I've always been generous. I'm going to the washroom. You guys order first. Then Suyu went out. Han Yueyao wanted to sit beside her agent. But the waitress scolded her in a low voice, Yueyao, are you stupid? It's such a good opportunity. Why don't you sit beside me? You should sit beside President Su. Before Han Yueyao could reply, An pulled a chair close to Suyu and looked at Han Yueyao. Miss Han, sit here. Yeah, Yao Yao, you should be next to the boss. You're the biggest contributor today. Although you're second, we've done our best. Biting her lips, Han Yueyao stood up and sat down beside Suyu shyly. They all knew that their boss was single and knew Han Yueao's true personality. Seeing this, they all wanted to play matchmaker. Even An, the boss's bodyguard for many years, had the same thought. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell at once. After Suyu went to the bathroom, he actually wanted to make a phone call. Even though his emotions were normal, there was one thing that was on his mind. He took out his phone and hesitated for 5 seconds before calling Chin Chu. Suyu. Chin Chu, how's Mian? It's alright. Then you have to spend more time with her. I asked someone to buy some Chongbai mountain ginseng. When the wild ginseng arrives in a few days, I'll send it to you. Okay. Chin Chu didn't refuse. In fact, after this incident, his relationship with Suyu didn't become estranged because of the loss of the baby. Instead, they got along more calmly than before. Chin-chu, about the baby, if the baby is gone, we can have another one. We only have one benefactor and friend like you. Chin-chu cut off Su-yu's words. To be honest, Chin-chu was a cold person and would never speak softly to anyone except Hwa-min. But today, he said such touching words on the phone. Su-yu was touched. Let's not talk about it. After this incident settles down, I'll treat you to a drink one day and talk to you. Okay. After hanging up, Su-yu still felt heavy-hearted. He didn't dare to see Hwa-min now. He really didn't dare. After returning to the private room, they had ordered. Su-yu sat down beside Han Yueyao. Boss, we heard you went on a mysterious mission a few days ago. Where did you go? We missed you so much. A staff member who didn't know the situation wanted to get closer to Su-yu, so he asked about what happened a few days ago. Su-yu's expression turned unnatural. Chapter 4103. Oh, I went out to do something for my grandfather. It's related to the military, so I can't tell you. Su-yu made up an excuse, and the others believed him. After all, they knew who Su-yu's grandfather was. At this moment, they had poured wine for themselves. Han Yueyao even filled Su-yu's glass. President Su, I'd like to propose a toast to you first. Thank you for giving me such a precious opportunity and letting so many fans know me. Okay, I'll accept it. Su-yu clinked glasses with Han Yueyao and they drank the wine in one gulp. The others applauded and cheered. Before the dishes were served, they began to serve the wine. Seeing the good atmosphere, Su-yu clarified one thing. You've all done a lot for the competition. Although Han Yueyao's dancing is hard, you've worked even harder. As for not being the champion, I expected it. The organizer told me that if I wanted to be the champion, I'd have to cooperate with them in a movie, shoot 3 reality variety shows for them, and sponsor them 20 million yuan. I, Su-yu, have plenty of money. Not to mention 20 million yuan, I can easily take out 200 million yuan to promote a newcomer. I didn't agree because the movie produced by their TV station has always had a bad reputation. Most of the reality shows are about love and marriage. Han Yueyao is a new girl in the entertainment circle, and I don't want to be tricked as soon as she enters the industry. So, I refused without hesitation. So, we have nothing to say about the champion. Although you've won second place today, in my heart, you're already the champion. Come, let me propose a toast to you. Han Yueyao had never known Su-yu was so eloquent, especially in such an informal setting. He spoke so fluently without any hesitation. His emotions were on point. Perhaps it was because his aura was so strong that Su-yu spoke casually. Everyone was still extremely excited and applauded thunderously. Thank you, President Su. We love you. President Su, you're mighty and domineering. You're our eternal boss. Some employees began to flatter their boss passionately. Han Yueyao, on the other hand, heard a key sentence. It was because Su-yu didn't want her to go on a reality show like a blind date because she was a newbie and innocent girl. She had long heard from people in the industry that many female celebrities had fallen in love with those matchmaking reality shows. In the end, after the show ended, the female star fell in love, but the male star simply left. Or rather, he used the show to cheat his way out. He didn't take responsibility and turned around to pull up his pants and deny it. In short, it was very heartless. Su-yu did not use her as a tool for the company to make money. Therefore, the organizers did not reach an agreement and the champion was someone else. She was touched by Su-yu's thoughtfulness and felt proud of him for acting like a big boss today. While Su-yu drank, she stole glances at him. The more she thought about it, the more she felt the butterflies in her stomach. Previously, she had boasted that if Suyu returned safely, she would shamelessly confess to him. Now that Suyu was back, was she really going to confess? Han Yueyao blushed at the thought. Wow! Miss Han, your face is so red. Are you allergic to alcohol? And was an insensitive person. He thought Han Yueyao was allergic to alcohol. No, I'm like this when I drink. My mom said that people who blush when they drink are easy to befriend. They're honest and worth being friends with. Ha! Han Yueyao laughed. What do you mean by honest? Why don't you just say that someone like you won't last more than 2 episodes in Jinhuan? Suyu began to mock her. Of course, he was joking. Chapter 4104. Ha ha ha. President Su, you overestimate me. How can I last 2 episodes? I'll kick the bucket in half an episode at most. Han Yueyao's cheerful and generous attitude made everyone like her. She was probably the second female star in Imperial Star Entertainment who was popular after Nieling Xian. Of course, Han Yueyao's status was not as high as Nieling Xuan's. After all, she was a newcomer. But since President Su supported her so much, it was obvious that she would do well in the future. Everyone was happy and the atmosphere was very good. After the meal, someone seemed to want more and suggested singing. Han Yueyao immediately glanced at Suyu. How about this? You guys can go and have fun. I'll pay the bill. What about you, President Su? Someone asked. I'm going to have supper with a few friends. There's still the second half of the game, so I won't go. Han Yueyao, you're the hero. You can go with them and get the reimbursement from the finance department tomorrow. President Su, you're not going. Han Yueyao was a bit disappointed. After all, she wanted to confess to him because she was drunk. I'm not going. I'm going with Tang Chuan and Mr. Wei. Oh, okay, you guys go. Have fun. Then Suyu glanced at and go get my wallet and pay the bill. Then drive the car to the door. Okay, President Su. Then Suyu stood up, picked up his coat, and was about to walk downstairs. President Su, let me walk you out. Before Suyu could say anything, Han Yueyao had followed him out. They walked downstairs from the private room upstairs. And went to the bar to pay the bill while Suyu lit a cigarette in the air vent on the second floor. President Su, are you in a bad mood? No. Don't talk nonsense. Isn't today a celebration for you? I'm in a good mood. Then why do I feel that you have something on your mind today? You're Sherlock Holmes. Please, don't make wild guesses. The game is over. You should have a good rest. I'll give you 3 days off. After all, you've been tired for so long. I'm fine. Don't worry. Don't. It'll be bad if the media takes photos of us exploiting our artists. As for your contract, I'll talk to the other executives and draft one. We'll sign it soon. After that, you'll officially debut as an artist of Imperial Star. Han Yueyao. This is what you wanted, right? You won't regret it, right? She knew what Suyu meant. She nodded. That's right. That's what I want. I've said it before. I don't need to be famous, but I need to earn more money. I've set a goal for myself now. I want to work hard to buy a better house for my parents in Jingdu within 2 years. The one at home is already so dilapidated. I don't want them to stay in such a dirty place in their old age. With your current level of popularity, you don't even need 2 years. Maybe half a year is enough. Suyu laughed. Thank you, President Su, for giving me this chance. I'm really grateful. Okay. If you're grateful, make money for the company as a reward. If you become famous one day, you can jump ship at a high price like those ungrateful people. But I don't think you have the guts to do that. After all, the penalty for breaking the contract is very expensive, Suyuk said jokingly as he blew out a smoke ring. I won't. I'll never betray you. There was nothing wrong with this statement since it was an employee's way of showing their loyalty to their boss. But when she said it, Suyuk felt it was a bit strange. So he didn't answer, and didn't say a word. She lowered her head and said, President Su, in fact, I've been wanting to tell you something. I've decided to tell you when you come back safely. Chapter 4105. Suyu wasn't an idiot. He seemed to know what Han Yueyao was going to say. Just when Han Yueyao was so nervous that her heart was about to jump out of her chest, suddenly, he said something that didn't suit the occasion. Did you have a good meal today? Ha! Han Yueyao was dumbfounded. This was simply a group of donkeys that did not fit the horse's mouth. There were too many people today, so I probably didn't have a good meal. If there's a chance, I'll treat you to a meal alone. You did well today. You're very outstanding. President Su, that's not what I wanted to say. In fact, I wanted to say, I'm afraid Mr. Tang and the others are anxious. I'm leaving now. Take your colleagues out to play and go home early. Suyu patted Han Yueao's shoulder. Just like that, he blocked Han Yueao's unspoken words with ease. After Suyu left, she stood there in a daze. Did he mean that he was tactfully rejected? No, she hadn't said anything yet. President Su shouldn't know. Han Yueyao was extremely conflicted. She didn't know what Suyu meant by this. Did he refuse her confession because he didn't want her to confess to him? Or did Suyu not know what she was going to say? Did he really have something to do and leave in a hurry? Anyway, she didn't confess her love to him. At a loss, Han Yueyao stood in the corridor on the second floor. She was called up by her colleagues and had to go karaoke with them. She didn't want to spoil everyone's fun. After Suyu got into the car, he and went directly to Tang Chuan's private club. When they arrived, Tang Chuan and Wei Liao had already arrived. Seeing that they didn't call him, Suyu didn't ask. He walked in and said to the waiter, "Give me some more whiskey." "What do you mean?" "Lord Su, do you want to get drunk?" Tang Chuan looked at Suyu. It had been a long time since he took the initiative to get drunk. "That's right. Didn't the two of you come here today to risk your lives to accompany this gentleman?" Suyu asked. "Sure, just tell me how you want to drink. Even if you want to vomit blood, I'll accompany you to the end." Tang Chuan smiled and poured Suyu a glass of wine. Before Suyu could sit down, he picked up the wine and downed it in one gulp. "What's the situation? Didn't you just come back from that place? Didn't you drink well?" Wei Liao was a little puzzled. President Su drank a lot over there too. He drank 6 bottles of beer, and added, "That's quite a lot. Lord Su, you've survived a great calamity. I'm so happy." Tang Chuan did not think too much about it. He only thought that Suyu was in a good mood and was excited. However, when Wei Liao carefully looked at Suyu's microexpressions and eyes, he felt that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. "Cut the crap. Are you drinking or not?" "Yes, I must drink." Tang Chuan rolled up his sleeves and prepared to drink. Wei Liao did not touch the wine glass. Instead, he stared at Suyu. "Lord Tang, are there any girls in your club?" Suyu asked. "Ah." Tang Chuan suspected that he had misheard. Did these words really come out of Suyu's mouth? I heard that there are many Ukrainian beauties in your club, is that right? Ah. Are you going to report me? Tang Chuan asked jokingly. Can you call a few in to liven things up? Su Yu asked directly, ignoring Tang Chuan and Wei Liao's strange looks. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao looked at each other, meaning that Su Yu's mood was definitely not normal today. Lord Su, haven't you been abstinent for a few years? Are you going to have sex tonight? Tang Chuan asked carefully. Ahem. And was so scared that he coughed violently behind him. And had always thought that his boss was joking, but looking at his expression, it didn't seem like a joke. Therefore, Su Yu's request scared the three men in the room. Chapter 4106. Cut the crap. It's not easy to come to your place. Are you willing to give it up? Su Yu glared at Tang Chuan. Of course. But I'll give it all to you. Wei Liao and I are both married, so we won't get involved. Ever since Tang Chuan got together with Qin Ning, he was known to be henpecked. He used to make fun of Wei Liao for being afraid of Dr. Jiang. Later, when it was his turn, he was even worse. Seeing Qin Ning was worse than a mouse seeing a cat. Therefore, Tang Chuan didn't go looking for girls in a private club. In the past, even if they went looking for girls, Su Yu wouldn't do it. Ever since he fell in love with Huamin, he hadn't slept with anyone for many years. Even Xing Ro was chased out by Su Yu when she took off her clothes and crawled into bed. There were also some shameless female celebrities who tried to seduce him, but none of them succeeded. It could only be said that Su Yu's conviction was too strong. He liked Huamin too deeply. Even if it was one-sided, it was enough to make him willingly keep his virginity. Now, Su Yu took the initiative to ask for girls. This surprised Wei Liao and Tang Chuan. However, in order not to spoil Su Yu's mood, Tang Chuan decided to agree to his request. Tang Chuan clapped his hands, and the club manager immediately came in. He served these masters at their beck and call. President Tang, what can I do for you? Bring the prettiest girls in our club here for Lord Su to choose. Okay. I'll do it right away. The manager nodded quickly. 10 minutes later. The manager brought in 10 beautiful women. All of them had hot bodies and were more than 1.7 meters tall. They were comparable to the supermodels in the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and they were all top-notch. 3 of them were foreign beauties. They were the Ukrainian beauties mentioned before. Those who frequented nightclubs knew that these were the best of the best. Lord Su, take a look and see if there's anyone you like. If not, I'll go and find another batch. The manager carefully stood in front of Su Yu. Su Yu didn't even look up. He just randomly pointed at 2 people. Just the 2 of them. Did you hear that? It's just the 2 of you. Serve Lord Su well. The manager turned around and said to the 2 women. The 2 beauties were obviously flattered. They quickly trotted over and sat on either side of Su Yu. They didn't dare to get too close. After all, they had heard that Lord Su had a bad temper. Of the 2 women, one took the initiative to pour a glass of wine for Su Yu, while the other took the initiative to stick a piece of fruit into her mouth. Su Yu opened his mouth and took a bite. These silent actions shocked Tang Chuan and Wei Liao. Xiao An's jaw was about to drop. Master Wei, what's going on? Lord Su came back this time. Something's wrong. Is it because of a ghost? Tang Chuan whispered in Wei Liao's ear. I don't think it's simple either. But it's impossible that it's because of a ghost. Don't talk nonsense. I think Lord Su has something on his mind. Wei Liao was older and could see through people's hearts. This time, Suyu came back. On the surface, he seemed to be fine, just like before. However, there seemed to be something pressing down on his heart. However, Tang Chuan and Wei Liao didn't take the initiative to ask. Instead, they accompanied Suyu to drink. The men played until late into the night. Before leaving, Suyu even took one of the women to the Bentley and returned to his residence. Wei Liao looked at the leaving Bentley and frowned. When I have the chance, I should talk to Huamin and find out what happened in Yunnan to make her so agitated. Suyu brought the beauty back to the villa. He didn't bring her back to his room, nor did he do anything else. He just took out a stack of cash and placed it on the table. It was probably more than 100,000 yuan. Then, Suyu looked at the woman and said, "I'll arrange for a car to pick you up in 2 hours. Mr. Su, what do I need to do now?" The woman stood up and looked at Suyu with an ambiguous smile. Chapter 4107. You can choose to watch TV or eat supper. Then, Suyu turned around and went upstairs coldly. The beauty was left standing in the living room, dumbfounded. What was going on? She was brought home by a super rich man in the middle of the night and thought she had a chance to soar. But, miss, don't talk nonsense after taking the money. Our boss has a bad temper, and understood what President Su was thinking. He didn't want anything to happen. Perhaps he just wanted to numb himself temporarily. The woman had been in the nightclub for a long time, so she immediately understood what was going on. She hurriedly picked up the money and put it into her extravagant Chanel bag. Then, she interjected, "I know, little brother. President Su quarreled with his girlfriend and purposely made his girlfriend jealous. Actually, he didn't really want to betray her. I know these tricks. But then again, which girl is so lucky to have a boyfriend like President Su? If I did, I wouldn't be willing to quarrel with my boyfriend. I would coax him every day." "You talk too much. You'd better be quiet for 2 hours and leave later." And couldn't be bothered to talk to him anymore. Then, and went to the kitchen to boil water, intending to make a cup of tea for Suyu to sober up. 2 hours later, the woman was picked up by a prearranged car. Of course, those who didn't know better would definitely think that this woman and Suyu had a one-night stand. After all, she went home with Suyu at 1:00 in the morning and left at 3:00. No one was stupid enough to know what happened in the middle of the night. Perhaps this was the result that Suyu wanted. After sending the woman away, and went upstairs to check on Suyu. However, he found that Suyu's bedroom door was open. He was sitting on the carpet by the bed with a half-drunk bottle of whiskey in his hand. "Boss, you drank too much today. You can't drink anymore. Whiskey is too strong. It's easy to hurt your stomach." And saw with his own eyes how much Suyu, Wei Liao, and Tang Chuan drank today. He thought that he would sleep peacefully after returning home. Unexpectedly, he seemed to be unhappy and was drinking alone. "Shaowen, I feel terrible." This was the truest sentence Suyu had said since he came back. Yes, he felt terrible. But he didn't dare to tell his mother, nor did he dare to tell his brothers. Everyone was very concerned about him, and he didn't want them to worry. Perhaps she had been in love with Huamin for so long that she was the kind of person who would always think for others. Suyu had been holding it in until now. "Boss, if there's anything you're unhappy about, you can tell Shaowen." Shaowen walked over and snatched the bottle from Suyu's hand when he wasn't paying attention. Then she sat down beside him. "In order to save me, Mian lost a child that was about to be born. I'm not a fucking human." Suyu said this with tears in his eyes. And seemed to have guessed that only something related to Huamin could make his boss lose control like this. "Boss, Dr. Ho won't regret it. When she went to save you, she knew that everything would be bad. Now that you're both back safely, it's actually a good situation. Dr. Hua is still young and already has 2 daughters. Although the children are important, in her heart, she doesn't want you to die. And wasn't educated and didn't know how to read minds. He could only choose what he understood to persuade Suyu. It's different. Mian was pregnant with this child for 9 months. It was so hard. She wanted the baby to be born so much that she even named it. That big explosion. She kept bleeding. She just watched the baby leave, and I was like a cripple who couldn't do anything. Thinking of the explosion, Suyu lowered his head and covered his face to cry. This incident was already a trauma in Suyu's heart. Huamin's child had also become a scar in his heart. Chapter 4108. Boss, you're not disabled. Those bad guys are too evil. We're already very happy that you and Dr. Hua survived this disaster and came back safely. After all, even someone as powerful as Queen Lu Yan doesn't know what's going on, at the mention of Lu Yan, and was a little sad. He had always believed that Lu Yan was the strongest on the surface, so she would be fine. But after hearing what the boss said, he began to worry about how badly Lu Yan was injured. Where was she? Logically speaking, Lu Yan loved her sister very much. When Dr. Hua came back, she would come to visit. Could it be that she was ambushed by her enemies after she was injured? After all, Lu Yan had too many enemies, and didn't dare to think too much. The more he thought about it, the more panicked he became. Suyu, on the other hand, was already unconscious as he cried. After all, he drank so much wine, he vomited all over the floor, and finally helped the boss change his clothes and put him to bed before returning to the bed. However, he knew that this matter was a thorn in the boss's heart that he wouldn't be able to get over in a short time. When he lay in bed, it was already 4:30 a.m., and the sky was almost bright. Then, he received a call from Han Yueyao. Miss Han. And, are you with President Su? Yeah, we're together. Where are you? At home. Oh. I sent President Su a WeChat message, but he didn't reply or pick up my calls. I thought something happened and was a little worried. Oh, it's fine. Don't worry. We came back a long time ago. You guys are done, right? Yeah, we're done. Everyone is very happy. I went back to the dorm too. That's good. Then rest early. Remember to ask the boss for reimbursement tomorrow. And is there something on President Su's mind? Han Yueyao vaguely felt that something was wrong with President Su today. Or rather, something was wrong with him this time. Miss Han, how should I tell you? President Su is indeed in a bad mood. I don't know if you've seen Dr. Hua yet. Sister Mian. I haven't. I heard that she's recuperating. I plan to visit her in a few days. Did you know that Dr. Hua's child is gone? And knew that this matter could not be concealed. Huamin was about to give birth. Now that the child was gone, her stomach was flat. The whole world would know, so it was better to make it clear as soon as possible. What? Han Yueyao was obviously shocked. And briefly told her what had happened. Hearing his words, she fell silent. You should know how much our boss has liked Dr. Hua over the past few years. Now that Dr. Hua is pregnant and trying to save him and even sacrificing her own child, how could he possibly feel good about this? No wonder Suyu, he, is so weird. It turns out that he's bearing so much pressure all by himself. On the one hand, she was worried about Huamin's miscarriage, on the other hand, she was worried about Suyu's mental pressure. Give the boss some time. This matter needs time to heal slowly. After all, Dr. Hua is too important to her. I understand, and I'll comfort President Su. We can't not understand him at this time. He's suffering more than anyone else. Yes. President Su usually looks violent, but he's actually like a child inside. When he's sad, he can't say it out loud. Tonight, he vomited. I haven't seen him like this in a long time. Thank you for telling me this, and I know you like the boss. Shaoan was straightforward enough. Seeing this, Han Yueyao didn't hide it anymore. She thought for a moment and said to An, I love Su Yu very much. He's been protecting Sister Mian, but I only want to protect him. Chapter 4109. I hope you can be the one to save the boss. If you need my help, I'll help you. And also expressed his support for Han Yueyao's crush on Su Yu. Thank you, and don't thank me. It's too distant. Then don't call me Miss Han. Just call me Big Yao Yao. Okay. After the phone call, they fell asleep. At 5 a.m., South Hill Manor was deathly silent. In the winter in the north, the days were especially short and the nights were especially long. Most of the time, the sun didn't rise until 7 a.m., so many companies would arrange the morning shift to 8:30 or 9 a.m. At 5 a.m., the sky was still dark and the entire castle was quiet. Huamin got up in her white nightgown. She walked barefoot on the luxurious floor, making no sound as if a feather fell on the floor. She walked slowly as if she was sizing up the structure of the house. When she passed by the study, she saw Qin Chu asleep on the table. When she saw Qin Chu, her eyes were different. There seemed to be a hidden light in them. She was about to push open the door when she heard a voice behind her. Mommy, startled, Huamin turned her head with a cold expression. 3 seconds later, she smiled. Pudding, why are you up? I'm thirsty. There's no water in the room. I want to drink water. I'm a little scared. Mommy, can you accompany me downstairs? Sure. Let's go. Mommy will take you. With that, Huamin walked downstairs. Pudding reached out to hold her hand. But when she touched her fingertips, she felt a bone-chilling coldness, making her shiver unconsciously. She immediately let go of her. Then, she took 2 steps back, looking a little scared. What's wrong? Pudding. Mommy. Your hand is frighteningly cold. I'm still sick because I lost the baby. I'll be fine after a while. Don't worry about me, okay? Huamin's tone was already very gentle, but for some reason, Pudding felt that Huamin wasn't very friendly at all. She quietly followed Huamin to the pantry. The floor of the pantry was warm because it was geothermal. She turned on a small, dim light. Then, he poured water for Pudding. Just then, a black cat appeared out of nowhere. She pounced on Huamin, causing her to knock over the glass of water. In the past, Huamin's subconscious reaction would have been to scream in fear. But she didn't. Pudding clearly saw her react very quickly. She grabbed the black cat off her body and kicked it away. The black cat was kicked until it cried out in pain and fell to the ground. It seemed to have suffered a serious injury. Pudding was so scared that she retreated to the door. Pudding, don't be scared. Mommy has subdued the cat. Huamin looked at Pudding and smiled. But in the night, her smile seemed creepy. Mommy. Why? You used to like Blackie a lot. Huamin's expression changed slightly when she heard that. The black cat was originally a stray. Later on, it kept sneaking into South Hill Manor to steal food. When it was caught by the gardener, Huamin told him not to hit it because it was pitiful. She even gave it a name, Little Black, and then raised it. Blackie went somewhere to play and came back every night to look for food. After eating, it would sleep in the pantry because it was warm and there was cat food. It had always been close to Huamin and had never hurt anyone in the family. Sometimes, Pudding would give it cake. Pudding didn't know why it was so mean. Most importantly, Huamin's reaction was very violent. That kick almost paralyzed the cat. Pudding was so scary. What's wrong? What happened? Chin Chu had come downstairs at some point, and his tall figure was standing at the door. Chapter 41:10. Honey. Just now, Little Black. I don't know what happened. It suddenly jumped up and wanted to hurt me. I kicked it out of reflex and it seems to be injured. I swear I didn't do it on purpose. Little Black never did this to me before. Is it because it blames me for not being able to protect our child? Huamin's eyes were filled with tears as he spoke. Pudding looked at her mommy in confusion. She clearly didn't look like this just now. When she kicked Little Black, her eyes were especially vicious. Did she see wrongly? Why did she look different when she saw her daddy? Don't talk nonsense. It won't happen. Chin Chu quickly took off his jacket and put it on Huamin. Then, he glanced at Little Black on the ground. I'll get someone to deal with it later. Maybe, it smelled the blood on you. Everyone knew that after induced labor, it was like giving birth to a child. Just like during menstruation, the woman would bleed continuously. Therefore, Chin Chu's explanation was believable. However, Pudding, why aren't you asleep yet? I'm thirsty, Daddy. By the way, I'll get some water for my daughter. Huamin was very diligent. He took out a new cup and poured some water for Pudding. Then, he handed it to her. Mommy's sweetheart, were you scared just now? It's all Mommy's fault. It's not Mommy's fault. I think Mommy accidentally stepped on Little Black's tail, so Little Black hurt you. But... Daddy, can you not kill Little Black? It likes Mommy so much, it definitely didn't do it on purpose. Pudding was afraid that her daddy would do something to the black cat to avenge her mommy. I won't kill it, but I won't let it stay in our house anymore. I'll send it away. Chin Chu picked up Pudding and sent her back to her room. Then, he returned to the master bedroom with Huamin. Honey, lie on the bed. Hold me. Huamin's innocent eyes made her heart ache. Chin Chu looked at his watch. Sorry, Mian, it's getting late. I have to continue organizing the company's documents. I have to use them in the morning meeting. You can go back to sleep. Huamin immediately turned his head with a look of displeasure. Chin Chu covered her cup and went back to the study. In the twins' room. Little Bean. Wake up. After Pudding, she couldn't sleep. Instead, she lightly to touch her sister. Mommy. Don't disturb me. I'm so sleepy, Little Bean, I have something important to talk to you about. I too little to sleep SSTSS know who to say, to she actually wanted to tell Daddy, but Daddy loved Mommy so much. What if he found out that he suspected Mommy? Teet have thus, Pudding struggled with her inner thoughts for more than an hour before she finally fell asleep. Int TT during breakfast, the whole family took good care of Huamin's feelings. Mian, you're not feeling well. Eat more, but make sure it's light and nourishing. Chin Chu's mother made her red date and white fungus porridge. Thank you, Mom. This child, why are you being so polite with me? Honey, are you going to the company later? Emichim, Chin Chu nodded. Can I go back to Mom's? I miss her so much, Huamin said. Sure, I'll ask the driver and bodyguards to take you there. Daddy, are we still going to school today? Can we go to Grandma's house with Mommy? Little Bean asked in a flattering tone. No, the teacher said we have a national studies class today. We have to go. Pudding rejected her sister's suggestion. You two should go to school. I'll give you a surprise after school. Really? What surprise? Little Bean's eyes lit up. Chapter 41:11. Are you an idiot? If Daddy told you, it wouldn't be a surprise. Pudding glanced at her little sister indifferently. Little Bean, you two, eat your food and don't bicker. Be good at school. Huamin nagged as he looked at the two children lovingly. At this moment, Chin Chu's mother said, Mian, you're still young. Have a few more children in the future. I'll take care of them for you while I'm still healthy. Why are you saying this? Chin Chu's father didn't think it was appropriate to say these words now. To his surprise, Huamin didn't mind. Instead, he was happy. That's what I was thinking too, hubby. When I'm better and I'm done with my confinement, can we have another one? Huamin looked at Chin Chu expectantly. Okay, as long as you're happy. Chin Chu's reaction wasn't as happy as expected, but he still listened to Huamin. After breakfast, Chin Chu drove to work and drove the two children to school. Huamin, the bodyguard, and the driver went to Sky Blessing Court. Jixin and Bella didn't know Huamin was coming, so they went to work early. Only two people were at Sky Blessing Court. One was Yang Meirong, and the other was Jing De. When Huamin walked in, Yang Meirong was very happy because she didn't know what happened a few days ago. But when she saw Huamin's flat belly, she was surprised. Mian, where's your child? Mom, my child, is gone. What do you mean? She gave birth. How come I didn't know? No one told me. Yang Meirong thought Huamin gave birth to the child by C-section early. Mom, the child, has been induced. Yang Meirong felt dizzy and fell on the sofa. Huamin didn't reach out to help her. Jingde was obviously afraid of Huamin, so he didn't dare to get close. He just stood in the corner, far away. Mian, don't joke with me. I have a weak heart and high blood pressure. Mom, I'm not joking. That's what happened. Suyu was kidnapped and I went to save him. In the end, the kidnappers detonated the explosives. It's already very good that Suyu and I came back alive, but during the process, the child was injured by the explosion and became a stillborn, so we had to undergo induced labor. Mom, my heart hurts too, but this is the truth. Huamin told her everything in one breath. Yang Meirong couldn't take it anymore and kept clutching her chest. He panted heavily, then, she fainted, Xiao Rong. Jingde was worried that Yang Meirong had fainted and wanted to go to her. However, he was stopped by Huamin. Enough. She's unconscious and doesn't know anything. There's only the two of us here. Don't pretend. Jingde immediately got down on one knee. Young master. You've been living a good life here. How come you fell in love with this old woman? Sitting on the edge of the sofa, Huamin glanced at the unconscious Yang Meirong with disdain in his eyes. No. I don't dare. Jingde trembled in fear. It's okay to fall in love with her. After all, this old woman is quite pretty. But, she's really something since Huamin called her mom for so many years. But this woman looks so stupid. I don't want to waste my time talking to her. You're right, young master, 002, how's your life here? Has anyone seen through you? Huamin lowered his head and played with his fingernails. asking casually. No one has seen through me yet, but... Jingde seemed to think of something. Don't stutter when you talk to me. Huamin's eyes flashed with a cold light, making Jingde tremble in fear. Chapter 41:12. Yes, young master, it's like this. There's a member in this family. Oh, she's Jing Jixin's new wife, Jingde's daughter-in-law. She seems to be suspicious of me and has been spying on me. One day, she found me eating, but I'm not sure how much she saw. I don't think she told anyone about it. Huamian didn't say anything. Young master, I'm sorry. It's my fault. As soon as Jingde finished speaking, he felt a heavy punch to his chest. He felt as if his bones were about to shatter. Huamin rubbed his fists. If you continue to be such a piece of trash, I think you can meet the Real Jingde. Young master, please don't. I won't let you down. Enduring the pain, Jingde wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. You didn't ask for anything in the first place. The master sent you here to do an experiment and see how long you can live as Jingde. I told the master that you'd be fine for at least a year, but it's only been 2 months and you've already caused trouble for me. Do you think you're slapping me in the face? I wouldn't dare. Piece of trash. Huamin glared at Jingde, his eyes full of disgust. Young master, please spare me. Are you hungry? I'll go prepare some food. Do you have food here? When it came to food, Huamin seemed more interested. She licked her lips. Ever since she came back, she hadn't eaten much. She even forced herself to eat food she didn't like with those idiots at South Hill Manor. It was like chewing wax, making it hard for her to swallow. Now that Jingde said there was food here, Huamin felt much better. Yes, yes, yes. I'll go prepare it now. Jingde immediately got up and ran to the fridge. Then, he took out a bag of blood from the bottom of the fridge. Then, he carefully poured the blood into his master's cup. He had carefully found these and stored them, afraid that the Jing family would find them. He put these things at the bottom of the fridge and covered it with many fridges. Fortunately, no one found them. Huamin took the cup of cold red liquid. He only took a small sip. Then, he smashed the cup, grabbed Jingde's neck with one hand, and lifted him into the air. From this, it could be seen how astonishing her arm strength and instantaneous explosive power were. Young master, spare me, don't, you trash. What the hell did you make me drink? She found the taste disgusting the moment she drank it. She felt as if someone had suddenly given her a glass of alcohol mixed with water after she was used to drinking fine whiskey. Young master, it's really blood. I wouldn't dare lie to you. Jingde felt like he was about to suffocate, but he still tried to explain. What blood? Huamin stared at Jingde coldly. His eyes were slightly glowing with a green light, which made him look like a terrifying beast. It's from a Samiad. As soon as he finished speaking, Huamin threw him to the ground. Jingde didn't dare to delay. He struggled to get up from the ground and knelt down again. No wonder it tastes so bad. 002, you're getting better and better. Are you so desperate that you have to drink dog's blood to survive? Young master, this city is very safe with many policemen. I don't dare. I'm afraid that my identity will be exposed. I have no choice. I'll give you 20 minutes. I want fresh, human blood. Right now, or I'll crush your head. She didn't listen to Jingde's explanation and made harsh demands. Chapter 41:13. An hour later, Huamin walked out of Sky Blessing Court and got into the black Rolls-Royce. After getting into the car, she wiped the corners of her mouth with satisfaction. A young lady, where are we going now? South Side Recuperation Center. Okay, sit tight. Huamin smiled and looked at the scenery outside the window, thinking, Huamin, everything you have belongs to me. Everything. At Sky Blessing Court. When Yang Meirong woke up, she saw Jingde beside her. Where's Mian? Mian left. She asked me to take good care of you. Why is my daughter's life so miserable? Why did our grandson die all of a sudden? Yang Meirong was still sad when she thought of this and couldn't stop crying. There's nothing we can do about it. Mian didn't want you to be too sad and didn't dare to stay for long. You have to think about the child. She must be sad to lose the child. Let's not rub salt into her wound, right? But I still can't accept it. It's too sudden. My grandson, don't cry. I'm upset. Jingde suddenly roared. Yang Meirong was surprised. Jingde had been good to her all these years. Even if she was unreasonable, Jingde would let her have her way. He treated Huamin like his own son. Why was he acting like this? His face was cold, as if she didn't recognize him anymore. Everyone is sad about this. But I'm upset when you keep crying. When Jixin and Bella come home, are we going to hug each other and cry? Yang Meirong felt that there was nothing wrong with what her husband said, but his attitude was a little unexpected. At this moment, someone rang the doorbell. Yang Meirong wiped her tears and quickly got up to open the door. Sister Yang, excuse me. Did you notice our Luo playing around here? Luo? I didn't see him. Yang Meirong remembered that Luo was a little boy from the neighbor's house. He was only 7 years old and was very naughty. But he was well educated and called her Grandma Yang every time they met. Jixin often brought him to play soccer in the neighborhood. I don't know where the kid went. He said he was playing with a soccer ball, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Did he go home? Yang Meirong asked. That's impossible. There are people at home. If he goes back, he will call me. What should I do? His parents are traveling in Europe and will be back soon. There's only me and his grandfather at home. What if something happens? That won't happen. Sister, don't worry. Keep looking. Our neighborhood is the safest. We won't go missing. Besides, the neighbors all know Luo. Okay, then I'll go out and look for him. If you see him, please help send him back to our house. Thank you. Yes, definitely. Yang Meirong closed the door. When she turned around, Jingde had gone upstairs and was no longer in the living room. It wasn't a big deal if the child couldn't be found, but if the child was missing, it would be a big problem. Yang Meirong suddenly felt that the neighborhood wasn't safe recently. First, cats and dogs went missing. Later, they were tortured and killed, which made people panic. Many dog lovers did not dare to walk their dogs. In the Imperial Star Entertainment Company, Su Yu and got up at noon and drove to the company. The moment they got out of the car, they were surrounded by many reporters. President Su, I heard you have a new girlfriend. President Su, can you tell us about the beauty who secretly went home with you last night? President Su, have you broken up with your female artist, Han Yueyao? Will she still sign with Imperial Star? Chapter 41:14. President Su, can you tell us if the wedding date is near? President Su, is the mysterious girl a socialite or an artist under the company? Can you tell us? Rumor has it that the woman is Miss Han Yueyao, the rising star of Imperial Star. She's the runner-up of Dance Allure. What do you think, President Su? I heard that Miss Han Yueyao is from Jing City. Is she the descendant of General Han? The more they asked, the more ridiculous their questions became. Su Yu's face darkened. He deliberately looked for a girl last night and flirted with her. Indeed, he didn't avoid the paparazzi. But why did they think of Han Yueyao? Why did she have to be the scapegoat? Seeing this, Su only explained, "It's not Han Yueyao. I don't like to date female artists under the company. Thank you for your concern." Su Yu threw out an extremely cold sentence and walked straight into the company. Those people were like flies. They wanted to surround him and ask what he wanted to say, but he quickly blocked them outside the door. "I'm sorry, everyone. This is President Su's private matter. Please give President Su some privacy and pay more attention to our artists and works. Thank you." And had been with Su Yu for many years, so he thought it was quite easy for him to say a few words. After Su Yu returned to his office, he began to busy himself with the day's work. The peace of the morning was disrupted by Gao Yeruo. Gao Yeruo was dressed very beautifully. She was wearing a floral dress from a famous brand. She had on extremely exquisite makeup. She didn't know if it was intentional or not, but her makeup and outfit were obviously imitating Nieling Xian. Perhaps Gao Yeruo thought that Su Yu had always had feelings for Nieling Xian. So she played a little trick. When she came over, and blocked her outside the door. "I want to see President Su," she said arrogantly, looking down on him. "Do you have an appointment?" And asked. "No." "Then please go back. President Su is not free. I have something important to talk to President Su about. I won't take up too much of his time. He's not free either. Why don't you ask your agent to make an appointment for you? You're just a lousy bodyguard. What's so special about you? Where's your sense of superiority coming from? You're just President Su's dog." After being stopped by An, Gao Yeruo was furious. She scolded Xiaoan angrily. "Even if you want to be a dog, you have to be competent enough. Miss Gao, are you done scolding? If you're done, you can go back." Gao Yeruo had no choice but to turn around and walk away. Suddenly, she yelled without caring about her image. "President Su, I have something important to talk to you about. Please, see me." The whole floor heard Gao Yeruo's voice. This made Xiaoan very unhappy. He didn't understand. What was wrong with women nowadays? Don't you want your face anymore? She was rejected, yet she still wanted to kick up a fuss like a shrew. As expected, Su Yu was alerted in the end. "What's going on outside?" he asked. "President Su, Gao Yeruo wants to see you." "Gao Yeruo?" Su Yu froze. He seemed to have forgotten about this person. "President Su, my cousin is Miss Nielingxuan's agent." Gao Yeruo quickly revealed the relationship, trying to please him. "Let her in." Su Yu's voice was very calm. "See, President Su said to let me in. Why aren't you out of the way? A good dog doesn't block the way." Gao Yeruo glared at him proudly. Chapter 41:15. And didn't say anything. After working for President Su for so many years, he had seen many women like her. Gao Yeruo didn't know if she was doing it on purpose or not, but she twisted her butt and rubbed her ample bosom. Then, she walked in with her head held high like a proud peacock. But after she walked in, all her arrogance disappeared. "President Su," she called out sweetly. Her voice was as fake as it could get. "What's the matter? Tell me. I'll give you 3 minutes. Suyu glanced at his watch and lowered his head to continue reading the financial report. President Su. I heard that our company accepted a reality show on a satellite TV. It's a cooking show. So? Suyu still didn't look up. My culinary skills are very good. I've been learning from my mother since I was a child, so I'm very talented at cooking. So, I want to recommend myself to you and give it a try. I definitely won't embarrass you. Suyu didn't say anything. No one knew what he was thinking. Seeing Suyu's silence, she became bolder. She walked closer and said in a low voice, President Su, as long as you let me go on this show, I'm willing to do anything for you. Suyu paused slightly. Then, he put down the documents in his hand and looked up. He looked at the funny-looking woman in front of him. For example. Suyu raised his eyebrows. I can do whatever Han Yueyao can do for you. I can do whatever Han Yueyao can't do for you. I'll serve you well, President Su. Gao Yeruo's voice was very low when she said the last sentence. It wasn't something a woman should say. It was too embarrassing. But Gao Yeruo didn't seem to notice. Instead, she thought she was very seductive. She thought Suyu must be tempted by her. Ahem. You said you can cook, right? Yes, President Su. What kind of dishes can you cook? Our home-cooked dishes. I'm fine with anything. Gao Yeruo planned to act first and ask later. Once Suyu agreed, she would spend money to hire a chef to teach her. So, when she bragged, she didn't feel guilty because she thought it was foolproof. However, all right then. First, tell me, what's the first step in making this dish? Suyu looked at Gao Yeruo seriously. She had not expected this at all. Who knew that President Su was such a serious person and actually tested her face to face? Gao Yeruo's face looked pale, but she was still strong and calm. This dish is actually not difficult at all. It's a stir-fry, so the vegetables must be placed first. For this dish, the tofu must be placed first. Hee. Suyu smiled mysteriously. Seeing Suyu's reaction, Gao Yeruo immediately corrected herself. No, I made a mistake. I was too nervous. I'll say it again. President Su, in this dish, minced pork and tofu, you put the meat first, then the tofu. Suyu shook his head and only said one sentence, didn't anyone tell you that you first add oil when cooking? Gao Yeruo was dumbfounded. I'll give you 10 seconds to get out of my sight. Otherwise, I'll never see you an imperial star again. Gao Yeruo immediately turned and ran when she heard the president's angry voice. She was afraid that Suyu would get agitated and fire her. Then, wouldn't she have fought for her position as the leader of the trainees for nothing? Coincidentally, when Gao Yeruo ran out, she bumped into Han Yueyao. Han Yueyao was here to ask for reimbursement from Suyu for last night's expenses. She went directly to the finance department, but the finance department said she needed President Su's signature. So, Han Yueyao came to the president's office with the reimbursement and unexpectedly bumped into Gao Yeruo. Han Yueyao, are you blind? Chapter 41:16. Han Yueyao rubbed her forehead, which hurt from the bump. She replied domineeringly, we're both blind. Then, before Gao Yeruo could respond, she went into Suyu's office. And saw it clearly from the side and almost laughed out loud. Miss Gao, are you okay? Is the prosthesis in your nose crooked? And wanted to add insult to injury. You have a prosthesis in your nose. Can you talk? Gao Yeruo covered her nose and left with a pale face. The girls in the secretarial office couldn't stop laughing. She had really embarrassed herself all the way to her grandmother's house. When Han Yueyao came in, so you thought Gao Yeruo was still there. Didn't I tell you to get out? President Su, I didn't offend you. Hearing the voice, Siu looked up and smiled when he saw it was Han Yueyao. It's you. Yeah, I'm here for reimbursement. What? You don't want to admit it? Nonsense. Give it to me. Han Yueyao ran over and handed the reimbursement form to Su Yu. Without even looking at it, Su Yu waved the pen and signed the document. You don't even look at it. Aren't you afraid I'll slander you? So be it. Someone got second place for me. It's okay to slander me, Su Yu joked. Whoa. Do you mean you're not satisfied with me getting first place for you? Han Yueyao joked with Su Yu. It's okay. Try harder next time. By the way, can you cook? Does scrambled eggs with tomatoes count? Han Yueyao asked directly. Su Yu, okay. You win. It's true. I'm not joking. I really can cook scrambled eggs with tomatoes. Do you want me to cook one for you? Don't. I'm afraid I'll have diarrhea if I eat it. Ha ha ha. Han Yueyao laughed without caring about her image. She didn't have the burden of being an idol at all. Han Yueyao, I think you're suitable to be a comedian. You're funny sometimes. Do you want me to change your character? Sure, but I can't do it myself. President Su, if you can help me out, I'll do it. There are even comedians in crosstalk, right? Forget it, I can't outtalk you. Let's get down to business. Can you cook well? Yes. Yes, our company has accepted a new reality show. It's a gourmet show. In view of your high standards for foodies and your current popularity, the company has decided to let you go. It's another reality show. To be honest, she would rather work harder and shoot more TV shows than participate in these so-called reality shows. After all, these weren't real at all. They were all acting according to the script given by the TV station. Sometimes, if they didn't act well, they would be scolded for acting awkwardly. What? Still not willing to go? You know that. Gao Gao. Su Yu stuttered. Han Yueyao chuckled again. Gao Yeruo. Yeah, Gao Yeruo just recommended herself to me. With her IQ, she knows this is a popular variety show. You know this reality show has a famous actor as a guest. He hasn't appeared in public for years and has tens of millions of fans. This show will definitely be popular. So, he wanted Han Yueyao to go on the show for her own good. How could she not know? So, President Su, this good thing happened to me again. Are you really going to support me? Of course. Am I going to suppress you? No, no, no. This is good. I'll continue to make money for you, President Su. I don't need your money. Su Yu chuckled. President Su, I actually want to gossip a little. What? Last night, the girl who came home with you, the one the media reported today. Who is she? Han Yueyao was slightly jealous but didn't dare to ask Su Yu directly. Chapter 41:17. Su Yu didn't say a word. Han Yueyao was so scared that she felt uneasy. To be honest, I don't know her either. Why did you bring her to your house if you don't know her? Can't I have a one-night stand? Su Yu rolled his eyes at her. Ha, I don't believe you. Tell me the truth, President Su, did you find her foreign? Did you take the blame for him? Han Yueao's imagination ran wild. Su Yu immediately covered his forehead with sweat. Masterin, you're suffering, don't talk nonsense. Do you want to sign this food show? Sure, but do I get paid? Han Yueao smiled wickedly. I know you're obsessed with money. Don't worry, I won't take a cent from you. They said it's 1 million yuan for the first season. Although it's not a lot, you're a newcomer and the most important thing is to show your face. Money is secondary. I'll ask the finance department to transfer the 1 million yuan to your card and pay the taxes for you. What do you think? Wow. President Su, you're so nice. I love you so much. Han Yueao's heart pounded when she said this. She just wanted to say the words, I love you, in a joking manner. Otherwise, if she said it seriously, she might not be able to chat with Su Yu so happily in the future. Sure enough, Su Yu didn't care and only smiled. Okay, let's go. I still have a lot of work to do. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. President Su, I'll treat you and into dinner tonight. Really? Yeah, to repay the boss's love and training. Han Yueao looked expectant. Unfortunately, Su Yu shook his head. Not tonight. Another day. What? You're going on a date with a beauty again. Han Yueao was disappointed. Don't talk nonsense. I'm meeting Little Bean and Pudding tonight. Oh. So it's two little princesses. Hearing that it was Pudding and Little Bean, Han Yueao was immediately energized. Then I'll treat you and in another day. Okay. Thank you, President Su. For what? Su Yu was puzzled. President Su, thank you for giving me opportunities. Opportunities are also given to those who are prepared. I believe that you will do well. At this moment, Su Yu finally looked like a boss. Even a casual sentence was like chicken soup for the soul. In a good mood, Han Yueao walked out with the expense report, humming a song. Shaowen, your hairstyle today is very handsome. Before she left, she even teased him. And touched his head, took out his phone, and turned on the front camera to take a look. Damn it, haven't I always had this hairstyle for the past few years? And was still muttering to himself in confusion. GK President's Office, President Qin, you look tired. Do you want to cancel the meeting this afternoon? Yang saw that Qin Chu had been really tired recently, especially after coming back. He always looked a little worried. He thought that it was because there were too many meetings at the end of the year that Qin Chu was unable to attend. No need. You can leave first. I need to calm myself down. Yes, President Qin. Before Assistant Yang left, he poured a glass of water for Qin Chu. Qin Chu rested his head on his hands as he tried to recall what had happened in the past few days. Everything had returned to the starting point. Su Yu and Mian had returned, and Hua Xichen was dead. Although the child was lost, it wasn't Mian's fault. But why did Qin Chu have a terrifying feeling in his heart? He only realized that terrifying feeling today. That feeling was that he was rejecting Hua Min. Yes, the woman he loved deeply to the bones. When he came back this time, he inexplicably rejected her and instinctively refused to get close to her. Chapter 41:18. Even Qin Chu couldn't figure out the reason. It was very strange. At 3:00, the school was over. The twins carried their backpacks and walked out. Qin Zhao Zhao, my family built a new golf course. My dad asked me to invite my friends to play golf at my house. There's also a children's golf course. Can you come to my house this week? My mom prepared a lot of delicious pastries and chocolates for us. A handsome little boy stood in front of Pudding. He was more than a head taller than Pudding and Little Bean. Pudding didn't say anything. Little Bean kept pinching her sister. After all, golf was secondary. Chocolate and pastries were what Little Bean was interested in. Say something, sis. He's asking you a question, Little Bean whispered. Sorry, I don't like to play golf, Pudding replied coldly. Oh, that's okay. We can ride horses. We have a horse ranch at home. The little boy didn't give up and continued to invite them. I don't like to ride horses. Then we have hot springs at home. What a coincidence. We have hot springs at home too. As far as I know, our hot springs are the best in the 6 northern provinces and 1 city. It's on Yunding Mountain. Pudding didn't give him any face. Then my house. What you have, I have. What you don't have, I have. Thank you for your kindness. Goodbye. Then, Pudding coldly ignored him. The little boy looked like he had nothing left to live for. Little Bean didn't forget to comfort him in a low voice. It's okay. You're not the first person my sister rejected. You're the 6th suitor at this school. The little boy, Little Bean held back her laughter and ran to catch up with her sister. Sis, why did you reject him? Come to our house and play. It's good to be friends. Then you'll go. Little Bean, speechless, Little Bean decided to change the topic. Sis, this morning Daddy said he had a surprise for us. Do you know what it is? No. As the 2 sisters chatted, Little Bean's sharp eyes immediately spotted Su Yu's car as soon as they walked out the door. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my God, that's handsome Su's car. Little Bean excitedly pointed at the entrance of the school. It was a dazzling orange Ferrari with a license plate 6666. That was Su Yu's most eye-catching symbol. When Pudding saw this, a sweet smile appeared on her cold face. Then the 2 little princesses ran over and threw themselves into Su Yu's arms. Handsome Su, I miss you so much. Handsome Su. Pudding didn't say, I miss you, because she was a little shy. Even if she missed you, she couldn't say it. She wasn't as outgoing as Little Bean. Su Yu was only wearing a light-colored Burberry windbreaker, which looked a little thin. However, it was very compatible with the sports car. Those who didn't know would think that it was a superstar. The female teachers in the school and the passers-by all gathered around to watch. Some of them even took out their phones to secretly take pictures. Even Pudding and Little Bean's homeroom teacher wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity. He directly came over. Little Bean, Pudding, Uncle Su is here to pick you up. Teacher. The 2 children turned around and greeted him politely. Su Yu raised his head and looked at the female teacher who was dressed very elegantly. She was wearing glasses and had pear blossom hair. She was quite pretty. Hello, I'm Pudding and Little Bean's teacher. My name is Li Wenwen. Teacher Li, Su Yu nodded. The 2 children are very obedient at school. They're very good, aw. Su Yu was a little embarrassed. After all, he wasn't a parent and it was a little awkward to talk about this with a teacher. Handsome Su, I'm a little hungry. Let's eat. Teacher, do you want to go with us? Little Bean turned around and asked the homeroom teacher. The female teacher looked excited, but before she could say anything, Little Bean interrupted her. I forgot that you might have a date with your boyfriend tonight. After all, you're engaged and it's not convenient for you to eat with handsome Su. Teacher, you won't come with us, right? Mommy said that we can't drink cold drinks in winter. It's bad for our stomachs. How about corn juice? Little Bean stood up happily. Anything is fine. You decide. After Little Bean left, Pudding glanced at Sue Yu and said slowly, "Handsome Sue, when I heard that you were kidnapped, I was so worried. When I heard that Mommy went to save you, I couldn't breathe. It's so good to see you guys come back safely. Even if little brother is gone, we don't regret it. If I were Mommy, I would do the same. Handsome Sue is very, very important to us. It's worth it to sacrifice little brother." Hearing Pudding's words, tears welled up in Sue Yu's eyes. Chapter 41:20. Pudding, now that you mention it, Uncle Sue doesn't know what to say. Sue Yu tried his best not to cry. After all, he was in front of the children. But Pudding was indeed an ordinary child. She was too smart, Handsome Sue, anyway. I'm glad that you're back safely, okay? Thank you for my big pudding. Sue Yu felt the child's longing and warmth in her eyes. Handsome Sue. After Daddy and Mommy came back, the atmosphere in my house was very strange. Let's not talk about this for now. I'm actually very curious, what happened to you guys that day? So you didn't want to remember what happened that day, so he subconsciously avoided talking about it. But since Pudding was the one who asked, he tried his best to recall. But at this moment, Pudding came back. She opened the door and entered the house. Pudding immediately changed the topic, obviously not wanting Pudding to know. After all, in her eyes, Pudding was innocent and wanted her to live in a beautiful fairy tale world. Handsome Sue, when are you free to take us to Disneyland? Pudding changed the topic. At the mention of Disneyland, Pudding was also very excited. Yeah. Handsome Sue, you promised us. Mommy also said, when you come back, you'll take us to Tokyo. Go away. You two little ancestors. Even if it's to the South Pole to see penguins, I'll take you there. But let's wait for Uncle Sue to finish his work first. I have some things to deal with in the next few days. Okay. Pudding nodded. But don't break your promise, Pudding said. When Sue Yu was with the twins, he was carefree and felt like the king of the children. The waiters served the dishes one after another, and the three of them ordered a table full of food. Pudding and Pudding ate happily. On the way back, Sue Yu drove them home and prepared gifts for the two children. Uncle asked a friend to get these gifts from Europe. Isn't it Christmas? Wow, there are gifts. I'm happy. Thank you, Handsome Sue. Pudding and Pudding took the gifts and couldn't wait to open them. It was two classic Disneyland school bags, but this time it wasn't Mickey and Minnie. It was Judy the Rabbit and Nick the Fox from Zootopia. It was very cute and the quality was also very good. In the past, Sue Yu didn't have the concept. He always thought that expensive things were good. But later on, when he was chatting with Huamin expressed that he didn't want his child to be tempted by material things at such a young age. She was too infatuated with luxury goods, so she didn't want Sue Yu to spend so much money on gifts. The most important thing was the thought. After thinking about it, Sue Yu felt that it made sense, so he only bought 2 school bags this time. Although the total cost was less than $100. However, Huamin was right. The twins were still very happy. They didn't care about the price of the gift at all. Instead, it was because of Sue Yu's sincerity. Little Bean knew how to please people. She ran up to Sue Yu and kissed him on the cheek. Do you want a bite? Sue Yu looked at the pudding. Pudding turned around and said to Little Bean, you go in first. I need to talk to Handsome Sue. Don't talk bad about me, Qin Zhao Zhao. Don't worry. You're not worthy of my gossip. After Little Bean went in, Sue felt that Pudding was a little strange today. It was as if she had something to say to him alone. Handsome Sue. I feel that after coming back, my mommy is a little. Pudding's voice was very low, but before she could finish, the door opened. Huamin walked out with a purple mink fur draped over his shoulders and a smile on his face. Why aren't you coming in? Mian. Seeing Huamin, Sue felt conflicted again. He didn't know whether to feel happy or guilty. Pudding swallowed her unfinished words and didn't dare to say them. Chapter 41-21. Mommy. Pudding raised her head and called out weakly. Good girl. Huamin reached out and touched Pudding's face. When her long fingernails brushed Pudding's cheek, Pudding shivered. Pudding shuddered. Then she realized that since when did Mommy like to have such long fingernails? When she worked at the hospital, Huamin was very particular about personal hygiene. Because of her frequent surgeries, she never had long fingernails. Basically, she would trim them once a week. But this time, it seemed that she hadn't trimmed them in a long time. They were frighteningly long. When her fingernails brushed Pudding's cheek, she felt a slight prickle. Since you're here, why don't you come in and sit? Huamin looked at Suyu with a smile. No, I have something to do. How are you feeling? I'm fine. Then I'll come to see you another day. Okay. See you later. After greeting Suyu politely, Huamin walked back with Pudding in his arms. Pudding, what are you thinking about? Seeing Pudding looking down and not saying anything, Huamin asked curiously. Mommy, why are you wearing this? Why? Don't you think purple looks good? But didn't you say that you don't like fur? After all, it's cruel to kill small animals, Huamin smiled calmly. But I didn't buy this. I don't know which relative gave it to me on my birthday. Your grandma said that it's useless to keep it at home. It's cold these days, and Mommy's not feeling well, so I'm wearing it for now. Oh. I see. Pudding didn't say anything. She still looked down and didn't know what to think. After Pudding entered the house, she washed her hands with her sister and went to eat dinner. Huamin sat in front of the fireplace and warmed himself up. No one knew what he was thinking. Qin Chu's parents had asked their old friend to do charity today. Apparently, they had donated some equipment for deaf children and hadn't returned yet. There were only a few servants and 2 kids at home. Uncle Li, yes, madam. Pour me a glass of wine. But madam, your body right now, it's okay. It's okay to drink a little. I want red wine. Yes, madam. Please wait a moment. Unable to dissuade the hostess, Uncle Li sent someone to get red wine from the wine cellar. Huamin looked at the 2 children and suddenly felt that they were an eyesore. That big sister seems to be quite smart. Could it be that she saw through something? Hold on for a while longer. Anyway. I'll win once I get Qin Chu. This was the portrayal of her heart at this moment. However, she still had a sweet smile on her face. It was just like how a mother would look at her child. It was so loving. On the other side of the earth, on the far side of the ocean, Huamian, with her big belly, was taken to a beautiful place. The reason why it was called beautiful was because this place was like an underwater world. The round room seemed to be at the bottom of the sea. Above it was a large transparent glass, with bright lights and all kinds of fish. It was spectacular, more beautiful than all the marine parks she had been to before. Miss Mian, here's your dinner. The maid named Messiah and 2 young maids served Huamin carefully. The dishes served were all delicacies from land and sea. There were lobsters, abalones, crabs, palm-sized prawns, and everything else. You can eat less seafood. I've also stewed bird's nest for you. Drink it while it's hot. Messiah, I want to see your master. I want to talk to her, Huamin said calmly. Chapter 41-22. Miss Mian, take good care of yourself. Eat well and sleep well. Messiah didn't seem to want to respond to Huamin's request. Messiah. My patience is running out. I know you didn't bring me here to let me eat and drink. Is that right? Messiah, please, let me see her. I want to know what she's up to. Miss Mian, she doesn't mean to hurt you. The outside world is too dangerous. You can only give birth to the child if you stay here. But I don't trust you at all. Messiah, tell her that if she doesn't see me, I'll go on a hunger strike. You don't want a dead Huamin, do you? Huamin hated himself right now. Other than threatening others with death, there was no other way. Therefore, after saying this, she despised herself very much. However, this sentence seemed to be very useful to Messiah. She looked at Huamin with a hint of sadness in her eyes. How about this, Miss Mian? Eat this meal and the bird's nest. I'll go and pass on the message for you. Hearing the gypsy made compromise, Huamin didn't dare to push his luck. He began to eat according to Messiah's request. The strange thing was that when Huamin arrived, she found that her set of poison-testing utensils was also here. Therefore, she would test them in advance every time she ate because she didn't trust these people at all. After confirming that they hadn't tampered with them, she dared to eat with confidence. Although she wasn't in the mood and couldn't taste the food, she was still very full. Firstly, it was to nourish the child in her stomach. Secondly, it was to satisfy the maid so that she could pass on the message for her. Sure enough, after Huamin finished eating, Messiah nodded in satisfaction and left. The remaining 2 maids stayed to watch over Huamin. This time, Huamin only carried a small bag with all kinds of poisons, anesthetics, and explosives. She had already used the extremely powerful bomb from before. Now, there were only a few scattered ones left. She didn't dare to use them casually. After all, she didn't know the purpose of these people. 10 minutes later Messiah walked back and looked at Huamin with a gentle smile. Miss Mian, the master has agreed to see you. Please come with me. All right. Hearing that the leader of these people was willing to meet him, Huamin felt more or less at ease. At least he could meet them and know who they were. Only then could his doubts be resolved. After that, Huamin followed Messiah through a long underwater tunnel. This place was like a maze, with many twists and turns. As they walked, Huamin became dizzy. She felt that everything here was the same. The furnishings were all very similar. But they were all different. Even a genius like her couldn't understand why there was such a mysterious and strange place in the world. Finally, at the end of the Dragon Palace, there was a mysterious and splendid temple. If Huamin were to describe the decorations there in one sentence, it would be, when he was young, he watched Journey to the West. There was a part in it where Sun Wukong caused a ruckus in the East Sea and borrowed the sea-stabilizing needle. It was decorated in the style of the East Sea, a luxurious underwater world. There were crystals, amber, and glass everywhere. It was so luxurious that it made one unable to open their eyes. Huamin vaguely saw a person sitting on the throne in the hall. However, because it was too far away, he couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. Messiah stopped in her tracks. Miss Mian, please go in. Good luck. After saying this, Messiah turned around and left. Huamin continued forward hesitantly. Looking at the figure getting closer and closer to him, the feeling in his heart grew stronger and stronger. Chapter 41-23. GK headquarters. After work, Chin Chu walked out of the door and saw Rick waiting for him in his black Panamera. Chin Chu took off his jacket, opened the car door, and got in. Where do you want to drink? Anywhere is fine. Chin Chu wasn't in a good mood and his tone was gloomy. Rick had known him for years and knew his temper. So, he didn't ask any more questions and left as fast as lightning. 20 minutes later, the two of them came to a small bar in the eastern Zhejiang development zone. There were not many people there, and it was not very big either. The name was Captain Jack. The sign at the door was a statue of Captain Jack from Pirates of the Caribbean. There weren't many people inside, only 2 or 3 tables of men and women. There was a singer on the stage, singing an original rock song. After entering, they found an inconspicuous corner and sat down. Gentlemen, what would you like to drink? The waiter asked. Rick glanced at Chin Chu. I'm fine with anything. Chin Chu was expressionless. Give him a box of anything, Rick said. The waiter was speechless. The waiter was also confused, not knowing what the two guests were doing. 2 dozen Budweiser. Chin Chu finally ordered beer. He was tired of drinking foreign wine, red wine, and white wine. He only ordered the most ordinary Budweiser and didn't expose his and Rick's super-rich identities. They couldn't be more low-key. Okay, please wait a moment. Not long after, the waiter served the beer and even gave them some snacks. Rick quickly opened 2 bottles of beer and clinked glasses with Chin Chu. Let's drink first. You seem to be in a bad mood tonight. Chin Chu didn't say anything. After toasting with Rick, they finished the entire bottle of beer in less than 5 seconds. His lung capacity was invincible. Since you came back from Yunnan, you haven't been in a good mood. Rick took the initiative to start the conversation. It was difficult for him, the king of awkward silence. Lu Yan is missing, Chin Chu said. I've heard rumors that Ian and Nalo took advantage of the situation and kidnapped Lu Yan. But I haven't heard any news of them kidnapping Lu Yan. It's just speculation. Do you believe they did it? Chin Chu asked Rick. That's hard to say. It's possible. Chin Chu lowered his head and didn't say anything else. Chu, is it because the baby is gone? So, that's not the main reason, Chin Chu answered. I know you're upset, and so am I. But, we have to accept reality, even if it's cruel. Cece's pregnancy was around the same time as Huamin's. When she heard that Huamin was back, she wanted to visit him, but I was afraid that she would upset Huamin, so I didn't let her. After all, both of you are upset that the child is gone. Rick, you don't understand. Children aren't that important. Even if Huamin doesn't give birth to a child for me, I'll still love her. But now what? You don't love her anymore. Rick sensed that Chin Chu was implying something. Chin Chu shook his head and didn't say anything. Instead, he picked up the second bottle of beer, opened it, and drank it all in one gulp, even faster than before. Rick. I feel like something's wrong. What's wrong? Rick was also confused. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like something's wrong. It's a terrible feeling, you know. Chin Chu looked like he was about to go crazy. Maybe he only showed this kind of anxiety in front of Rick. Gao Ran had been busy lately. The number of cases in the city had suddenly increased, and many children had mysteriously disappeared. Gao Ran was in a lot of trouble. So, he didn't have the time to talk to Qin Chu. Chu, after this incident, did you get that mental illness again? Rick was referring to the paranoid personality disorder that Qin Chu got in the States. Chapter 41-24. But it didn't. Really? It has nothing to do with that. I just feel like, how should I put it, it went too smoothly. Rick froze. That went too smoothly. You killed Hua Xiqian and that big villain. Although you lost your child, isn't that the best ending for Huamin and Su Yu to come back safely? But those bad guys, did they really die so easily? If they died so easily, my father-in-law wouldn't have let Lu Yan and me go back halfway. You mean, there are still survivors? Or did they take Lu Yan away? His brain wasn't that bad, and he immediately reacted. I'm not sure, it's just a feeling. I've been sending people to investigate, hoping to get confirmation. Okay, we'll be careful, Mr. Qin. Come on, let's continue drinking. Rick knew that Qin Chu had always been a careful person, so it was normal for him to be worried. Tonight, he came out to talk to Qin Chu. At least it could relieve his depression for the time being. That night, Qin Chu drank a lot, but not a lot. When they got home, it was already 3:30 a.m. It was Qin Chu's chauffeur who drove the two drunkards home. When Rick got home, Cece was still awake. Cece usually stayed at her parents' house, but when Rick came back, the couple would stay in a luxurious condominium in the city center that Qin Chu gave them. It was said that this was a real estate owned by GK, and the average square meter was as high as 80,000 yuan. This condominium was 160 square meters, and it was all luxurious. It was the kind of condominium that could be moved in with a suitcase. Cece wanted to take care of the baby in China, so Rick stayed here with Cece with his bodyguards and nannies. When Rick came back, the moment he entered the house, Cece pounced on him. You're back so late. I drank too much with Qin Chu. When Rick said this, his breath reeked of alcohol, making Cece dizzy. You really drank a lot, what? You don't like me? I've already given birth to your child, how could I dislike you? Stop fooling around, okay? Cece smiled as she helped Rick take off his coat and poured him a glass of water. Hurry up and sit down. You're already so big, don't run around. Rick didn't want Cece to get busy. He pulled her into his arms. Cece immediately blushed. Rick wasn't someone who knew how to flirt with girls. After being together for so long, it was rare for them to express their love through body language. Perhaps he was drunk today, but he was actually a little bold. Rick, are you okay? It's nothing. I'm just a little emotional. What do you mean? Cece raised her head and looked at Rick's handsome face with infatuation. Qin Chu and Huamin are so in love, but they've been through so much together. Actually, it's easy for two people to fall in love, but it's hard for them to be together. I feel more and more that everything we have now is not easy to come by. Yeah, I think so too. I just want the baby to be born safely and grow up healthily. Chapter 41-25. Mian, why aren't you asleep yet? What time is it? Qin Chu looked down at his watch and felt that something was wrong with Huamin's appearance in the study at this time. I'm waiting for you. I can't sleep if you don't come back. After Huamin finished speaking, she stood up and walked over. Wearing white cotton pajamas, she walked towards Qin Chu step by step. Honey, you seem to have been avoiding me recently. Don't talk nonsense. I'm worried about you because you're so badly injured. You need to rest well. I don't want to disturb you. But why don't you hug me to sleep? You used to hug me. Huamin's innocent eyes questioned Qin Chu. Qin Chu suddenly felt guilty. I haven't been sleeping well recently. I'm afraid that I'll disturb you if I toss and turn. We're husband and wife. We have to face everything together, right? Yes, Mian, you're right. Then come back to bed with me. Hug me to sleep. I want you to hug me. Huamin began to act coquettishly. She slowly leaned her head towards Qin Chu's chest. For a moment, Qin Chu had the urge to push her away. This kind of feeling made him feel afraid. Daddy, Mommy, what's wrong? Pudding. Huamin and Qin Chu suddenly turned around. Huamin didn't approach Qin Chu. Little Bean peed her pants. She also wet our blanket. It's so uncomfortable. Can you help us change? Huamin, Qin Chu, okay, Daddy will be right there. Then, Qin Chu walked towards the children's room. Huamin followed behind Qin Chu. When she passed by Pudding, she deliberately looked down at her. Pudding didn't look up, but she seemed to feel someone's gaze on her. Mommy, I'm sorry. Don't blame Little Bean, okay? I asked for passion juice last night, so Grandma made us a lot. I went to the bathroom many times before bed, but Little Bean was crazy and wouldn't go. So, it's okay. You're still children. Mommy won't blame you. Huamin used her long fingernails to scratch Pudding's face again, and that chilling feeling again. Pudding was so scared. She quickly ran a few steps behind her daddy. Then, the couple changed the sheets for the two kids. Qin Chu held Little Bean, who was sleeping soundly. After changing the children's bed, Huohuo's hand pulled. And Huit TSS's sleeping. Pudding, Daddy is tired from work. Mommy will accompany you, okay? Mommy, Daddy said you're still recovering. You can't catch a cold. Our room is very cold. Grandma doesn't want us to be too warm. I'm afraid you won't be able to take it. Yeah, Mian, this room is air-conditioned. You won't be able to take it. Go back first, I'll stay with Pudding. Okay, I'll go back first. When Huamian left, she looked back a few times reluctantly. She saw Qin Chu gently place Little Bean on the bed and then pat Pudding. He was indeed a good father, always patient with his children, but, if she wanted to sleep with Qin Chu, even if they didn't do anything, couldn't she just hug him intimately? She didn't believe it. Was it that hard? Or did these people notice something? That night, everyone at South Hill Manor had their own agenda. The next morning, at the breakfast table, Little Bean said mysteriously, Grandpa, Grandma, Daddy, Mommy, Sis. Did you know? Vampires have come to our city. Who lied to you? How can you believe that? Grandpa laughed. It's true, Grandpa. I'm not lying to you. Uncle Gao Ran has been investigating this case. Bui Yuan told me. It's true, not a joke. Chapter 41-26. Oh, really? Bui Yuan told you. Grandpa was doubtful. Yeah. Little Bean, when did you and Bui Yuan start talking about such heavy topics? Grandpa teased his granddaughter. Not really. We just talked about it. Anyway, Bui Yuan said it's not safe in the city and doesn't want me and my sister to walk around. Let's see if handsome Sue can finish his work next week. If he's done, we'll go to Tokyo Disneyland. The child's words were just a passing remark. The whole family didn't take it to heart. Hwa-min didn't feel uncomfortable at all. She didn't care about such a small thing. However, she didn't eat as much as she used to at breakfast. Mian, is the food not to your liking? Chin-chu's mother felt bad for her daughter-in-law. No, Mom. Then why are you eating so little? You obviously don't have as good an appetite as before. You can't go on like this. You just had a miscarriage. It's bad for your health. You need to eat more. I know. Mom, don't worry. I'll take it slow. Faced with everyone's concern, Hwa-min was calm. After breakfast, Hwa-min got into Chin-chu's car. Honey, I'll go to the company with you this morning and go to the first hospital in the afternoon to get some medicine for your health. Okay. Chin-chu nodded and didn't say anything. The two of them went to GK together, and Chin-chu spoke even less than before. They didn't talk much in the car. When they arrived at GK, Chin-chu went to work. Assistant Yang poured a cup of warm milk for Hwa-min. What's this? A young lady, your warm milk. I don't want it. Take it away. Layla didn't like the taste of milk, especially the extra thick fresh milk. She didn't seem to like the smell. She covered her nose and let Assistant Yang take it away. Assistant Yang was also dumbfounded. A young lady. You've always been drinking warm milk. Only then did she react and explain, my taste has changed a lot after I got sick this time. Don't bring me milk anymore. Oh, okay. Little Yang nodded, seemingly agreeing with the young lady's order. A young lady, what would you like to drink? I'll get it for you. You don't have to do anything. Go and do your work. All right. After Assistant Yang left, Hwa-min lay on the sofa and flipped through a magazine. Feeling bored, he threw it away. It was then that Bella came in and knocked on the door. Come in. Sister Mian, I wanted to see you, but I didn't want to disturb you. I heard from President Chin in the conference room that you were here, so I ran over. When Bella returned home, she heard from her mother-in-law that Hwa-min's child was gone. Then, she felt very sad. Ji-shin had gone on a business trip and hadn't returned yet. If Ji-shin knew, that brat would have run back a long time ago. After Bella finished speaking, her eyes were filled with tears. Hwa-min turned his head and thought for 3 seconds. Then, he smiled slightly. Bella, come and sit down. Holding back her tears, Bella walked over and sat down next to Hwa-min. Then, she looked at her flat belly. Sister Mian, you've suffered so much. Why don't you rest at home? Can you come to the company? I'm fine now. But I heard that induced labor is more painful than childbirth. Plus, there will be scary patterns on the belly. That's why I've never dared to have children. Have you always been in serious condition? After Bella finished speaking, she glanced at Hwa-min's belly. After hearing Bella's words, Hwa-min warily tugged at his clothes, not revealing a single bit of skin. Chapter 41-27. It's not that serious. When I gave birth to Pudding and Little Bean, I didn't have those ugly pregnancy signs. After I came back, I took a lot of imported ointment from the hospital. It's fine. The change in her body was the biggest loophole. After Chin-chu came back, he didn't have any physical contact with her, so he didn't see what Hwa-min's belly really looked like. When she was in the hospital, it was a private place, so she handled it herself. If Bella hadn't mentioned it, no one would have cared about Hwa-min's belly. Of course, Bella didn't mean to mention it, but she was very, very unhappy. Sister Mian, don't be sad. You'll have more babies in the future. Okay. I'm okay. It's all in the past. By the way, I have something important to tell you. Bella seemed to have thought of something as she purposely lowered her voice in a mysterious manner. Okay. Go ahead. Looking around warily, Bella leaned close to Huamin's ear. Sister Mian, you made me feel like Dad. Oh, no, that person. I've been watching him and found something. Oh. Really? What did you find? Huamian had a faint smile on her face, but Bella didn't notice the creepy smile on her face. She had been with Huamian for years and knew her best. Even if she suspected someone, it wouldn't be Huamian, so she really wanted to tell her all the secrets. Bella lowered her voice again. Sister Mian, this Jingde. You're right. He's really not Dad. Then who is he? Huamin asked calmly. He looks like a monster. Bella still felt creeped out when she thought about it. Monster? Huamin raised her eyebrows. Yes, ever since he came, a lot of strange things have happened in the neighborhood. First, cats and dogs went missing. Then, they were found tortured to death and buried in a corner of the neighborhood. And in the past 2 or 3 days, it's even more ridiculous. Children have started to go missing, and they're all between the ages of 4 and 8. Everyone in the neighborhood is panicking. The police have set up a case, but there's still no progress. What do these things have to do with Jingde? Huamin continued to play dumb. Although I didn't see it with my own eyes, it definitely has something to do with him. One night, I saw him sneaking around in the middle of the night, so I followed him. I don't know what he was doing, but I saw blood on the corner of his mouth. And the look in his eyes was really scary. I don't even dare to sleep too deeply at night because I'm afraid he won't be able to control himself and will attack me, Jixin, or even Mom. Too bad, Mom trusts him so much. I don't even know how to tell her. Sister Mian, you should tell her. Mom loves you the most and listens to you the most. Leave this matter to me. Huamin nodded thoughtfully. Sister Mian, what do you think that person's purpose is? If this continues, I don't know what will happen. I've secretly installed super high-definition cameras in every corner of the house. If he does anything recently, I'll definitely find out. When did you install them? Huamin stared into Bella's eyes and asked. Last night, when he and Mom went grocery shopping, I invited a friend to my house and installed a lot of cameras. As long as I get the evidence, we'll give it to Gao Ran and let the police handle it. With a smile, Huamin reached out his hand and scratched Bella's shoulder with his long fingernails. She didn't know why, but Bella actually shivered for no reason. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.